All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one, Schaefer and Sliwa. Padres Brewers, Alan, from Milwaukee. Hard to believe we're not on site. We had considered, you can't turn your mic on. This will be a solo show. It was good seeing you, though. Thanks for coming out. Can we get Alan's mic on? Oh, there it is. Thank you, Brent.
I'm back.
We were on remote yesterday. That was a good time. Naughty Barrel, Rancho Penasquitos. Mm-hmm. And joining us in about, Brent will call my buddy Josh Maurer in 2 or 3 minutes. We've had him on before. He does radio for the Brewers, who, by the way, are 22-16.
Yeah, they're playing well.
So Padres are playing really well now. Half game up in the Dodgers, but this is one of those like early season.
Yeah,
is it measuring stick? Sure. Is it test? Right? You kind of like to see it. We talked about this before the show. It's not like the Padres have played a million series against playoff caliber teams. They'll get one coming up beginning today against the Brewers, and we'll talk to Josh Maurer.
Yeah, and if you do look just kind of these next handful of games, at Milwaukee's not going to be easy. At Seattle, I know their record's not great, but at Seattle, it's not going to be easy. Then followed by 3 games against the Dodgers. So you got some good matchups that are coming up here. You're going to face Philly before this month closes out as well, and they're playing some better baseball. So I think I saw something earlier today. From a strength of schedule perspective, Padres have played one of the easier schedules in all of Major League Baseball. So
is that right?
Now we get a chance to kind of see them against some of the more elite teams. That, by the way, they've played Chicago. They've played, who else have they played that was decent? Pittsburgh's decent. So it's not like they've played nobody, but how is it not amplified when you go up against better competition?
Dude, how about this? Top ERAs in the sport.
Okay.
Number 1, no surprise, the Atlanta Braves, right? Yeah. They've had a great start. Number 2, not surprising, the New York Yankees. They've had a very good start. Dodgers are 24-17, but it comes as no surprise they have the 3rd best ERA in the sport. I don't think that shocks anyone. The 4th best ERA in the sport as a team is Milwaukee. 3.43. Remember, the Padres haven't exactly been murderers row.
Well, I was going to say, whatever their ERA is today and however amount of success that they've had, have they seen some of the bats that the Padres have? I mean, if there's ever a time to be worried in Milwaukee about the Padres bats, it's now. Maybe this is what the Padres need. They need to face elite pitching. I don't know.
Honestly, dude, I don't even know. The pitcher they're facing tonight is 0-2 with a 5.87, so maybe that's encouraging. Yeah. And the Padres, by the way, for the second straight Matt Waldron quote-unquote start, we'll go with an opener in Branchley Rodriguez. So that worked the first time around. We'll see if it works the second time around.
They've won 4 in a row. And they are just, I think, a game behind the Padres right now. So,
and they've been really good at home. All right, Josh Maurer. But by the way, it's been way too long. I told the story, Josh, in our previous segment, our crossover segment.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
I told the story that you and I, of course, we've known each other for I don't even know how many years, 30 plus years, and we went to high school together. But it's been way too long, Josh. So first of all, thanks for hopping on. It's been way too long. Well, no, we've talked over the last 30 years.
This is a 30-year reunion right
but
here.
I'm saying how long? Gosh, 1996.
That's a while.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. All right, Josh Maurer does radio for the Brewers. The Padres are in town, so let's talk about this series coming up. We were just observing. I mean, I haven't been sitting there every night, sitting down and breaking down Brewers film. But obviously, they've been very good overall, good at home. Team ERA is 4th in baseball at 3.43. What have been some of the keys to the overall success they've had the first 6 weeks?
You know what? They've kind of treaded water, John, and that's the thing that's impressed us because they were without 3 of their best hitters really until tonight when they finally have all of them back.
Of course.
Christian Yelich has been activated today. And that's obviously the biggest name that they have in the lineup, but also Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn, who are 2 huge pieces of that offense, were out until last week. So they kind of kept the ship afloat. That's what's impressed me. They stayed above 500. They stayed well within striking distance of the Cubs in the Central Division during that time. And if you want to call it treading water, I guess that's what they did. But they all of a sudden you look up now, they've won 4 straight. They just swept the Yankees over the weekend. And they have one of the best records in baseball again, coming off of a season where they did have the best record in the major leagues. So I'm continuously impressed by the way that this organization puts together a competitive team, no matter what adversity, injury, or otherwise that they're facing. And they put themselves in position to win games night in and night out. And that's what they've done so far this season through April and early May.
Josh, we were just talking about how for the Padres, it's like, okay, you get this matchup against a good Milwaukee Brewers team. Maybe it's a good kind of barometer. We just hit the quarter mark of the season. How do the Brewers look at, I think from your vantage point, or for people that are out there getting ready for this 3-game set, how do they look at the San Diego Padres, who they're making the playoffs? They got, some big time players. Now those players aren't exactly performing. But the Padres have kind of figured out a way to be 8 games over 500. How does Milwaukee look at a series like this against the Padres?
How Pat Murphy looks at it. He looks at the Padres like they're one of the best teams in baseball. And look, every team in the major leagues deserves at least a certain amount of respect. But I think the Padres get much more than just a certain amount from Milwaukee. And especially because if you look at the way the Padres have played against the Brewers recently, especially the last 2 years, they've dominated. And that pitching that the Padres have had, look, last year they shut out the Brewers 3 times. So trust me, the Padres have Milwaukee's full and total attention. I think whenever these teams are getting together, the Brewers within that clubhouse and within the front office, they look at it as one of the toughest series that they're going to have all season.
Josh Maurer with us right now. He calls games for the Brewers. Brewers coming up in about 90 minutes from Milwaukee. You mentioned the fact that Chourio is now active, Jackson Chourio. I couldn't believe in looking him up. He's only still 22 years of age. Is this one of, you see it more closely than we do. Is this one of the top young players just in general, one of the top young position players in the sport? Because his career numbers look like such.
For sure. Remember, guys, it's now been 3 seasons ago that we had the Jackson 3 when Jackson Chourio and Jackson Merrill, along with Jackson Holiday, all came up at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, Jackson Chourio, I think he flies under the radar screen a little bit more, perhaps than those other guys, just probably because of where he plays. You're in the smallest market in baseball. You're not on national TV a lot. Chourio's a big game player. I'll tell you, you look at his regular season numbers, they're good. You look at his postseason numbers, his first 2 years in the major leagues, they're excellent. He was the best hitter on the team. Each of the 2 playoff runs that they've been in, that he's been a part of the club. And then this year, he missed every game until last Monday in St. Louis. He had broken a bone in his hand when he was playing for Team Venezuela at the World Baseball Classic, which was it was a shame. Everybody was so bummed out about that, to miss him for those first 6 weeks. He came back in his first game. He went 4 for 4 with a walk and a couple of doubles that went off the fence. Like he had never missed a day. And he came back and he drilled the ball. Every ball he hit in that game was over 100 miles an hour off the bat. He's just that kind of guy. When he wants to, Jackson Chourio is going to be one of, if not the best players on the field. It's the kind of talent that he has.
As we kind of get ready here, and I know we got a specific matchup, Padres and the Milwaukee Brewers, but I'll ask you a question a little bit more big picture. Today, there was an article out there, MLB Players Union meet to begin labor talks, sources say. You being in Milwaukee and covering the Brewers, a team that is a great example of not one of the bigger markets out there, but have found ways to be successful. And certainly it feels like they got a front office that know what they're doing. What is the vibe in Milwaukee about where baseball sits today? We obviously look at things from the San Diego perspective and the Padres. We happen to be in the same division as the Dodgers, and obviously that competition. What is it that you feel like a market like Milwaukee would like to see eventually from a competitive perspective that you think helps all parties?
Well, man, it's such a complicated question that
take your time. We go till
answer.
6, so take your time.
I think the Brewers, more than just about any of the quote unquote small market organizations, have found a way to come up with a system that keeps them competitive and in the postseason mix every single year. And they do it by being smart around the margins. They're not going to have a big payroll. They know that, but they identify players that fit what they do and that they can maximize to the best of their potential. They do that, guys, better than I think any team in baseball. So that's the backdrop for what do the Brewers want. Now, would the Brewers love to have more revenue sharing of television money? Yes. Right. And I think for every owner that's in a market like this, that's the biggest issue. Is it's how much less television income you're making than the big market teams, and it's what separates the big spenders from the not big spenders. Padres, similar story, although, I think this is obviously a question that you guys could speak to much better than I. With the new ownership coming in, I would think that there's going to be an influx of cash that the Padres have to spend that maybe some other teams like the Brewers will not. But in the short term and then in the long term, I think it's two different things. The Brewers, they'd love to have more revenue sharing. I think they would be on board with a floor and a cap scenario if that's what ends up being the solution after this anticipated fight that we have coming up between the owners and the players union. I think that, but also the Brewers are, in a larger sense, they're kind of okay with where they are because they've been able to come up with a way of operating that works for them and gives them an opportunity to be in postseason position every year, which they have been now for about a decade. So they're just kind of like, well, if things change for the better, that helps us, good. If things don't change, then we're kind of happy with the way things have been operating here anyways over the last 10 years or so. So I guess my answer would be they're just going to shrug their shoulders and say, whatever happens, happens. And we're going to be prepared for any eventuality.
That's interesting. And to your point, they've been very successful, obviously, for a good amount of time, despite the market that they play in. Final one from me, Josh, would be just about the NL Central. With all 5 teams still over 500, of course, everyone knows about the Cubs start. But now you look at the Pirates and the Reds. I know the Reds have struggled here recently, but they're all over 500 as well. How remarkable is that for all 5 of these teams to play this well for this long?
Very, very, John. I'm of the mentality right now that the NL Central is the best division in baseball. And certainly if you go by the record, it is. But just looking at these teams and how many good young players are in this division, think about that. You've got in this division, you've got Jackson Chourio, who we talked about with Milwaukee. You've now got Connor Griffin and Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh. You've got Ellie De La Cruz in Cincinnati. You've got this young stud, J.J. Weatherholt, who's helping carry St. Louis, this rookie second baseman. The Cardinals have been one of the most surprising teams. Look, every team, as you said, above 500, all of them think that they could be in the postseason this year. I think it is remarkable, and I think it bodes well for this division for years to come because of how much young talent that these teams have right now. It's going to be fun to watch games between all of these Central Division opponents. Look, I didn't even mention the Cubs. The Cubs have had 2 different 10-game winning streaks already.
Jeez.
Think about that.
Insane.
Yeah. Fun division. It's going to be a bear. I think all 5 teams in this division know that. The Brewers are trying for a 4-peat. They're going to have their work cut out for them, but I wouldn't put it past them.
Josh, final one from me here, and we appreciate your time. So Jim has said that he was all-star running back when he was in high school.
John.
Who's
Jim?
Yeah, it's a good point.
This is unbelievable.
I had Josh there too, so we got all the J's here.
Yes,
but
I was an all-state tailback.
Yeah, he's claimed, because you guys went to high school together, that basically he was filthy on the mound. He's one of the best hitters they've ever had. Are any of his high school stories true, or is this all made up?
Was I the best athlete in the history of the high school? Josh?
That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think he was kind of leaning towards.
Yeah, in the history of the high school, maybe you were second to a certain basketball player that we were both in Lower Merion High School with at the same time. But I can't speak to John's athletic prowess more than I know. We used to umpire Little League baseball games together. And so he was a very astute and discerning eye as an umpire.
What did that pay? Were you like like anybody argued they're out?
They were like 9-year-old girls.
We get paid? Yeah.
I don't know if we got paid. Why did we do that?
I don't know if we got paid. And I don't know. It was like early Saturday mornings, right?
Oh, it was the worst. It was so early. You're right.
Why were we doing that?
I have no idea.
I can't even imagine why we did that.
Well, it paid off. Look at us now. Josh, appreciate you, man. Have a good call tonight, and hope all is well. Hope to see you in San Diego later on this year.
Can't wait, John, and everybody there. Thanks for having me. I'm still rattled by thinking about the fact that I've known John for 30 years.
30 years, man. 30 years. Appreciate you, Josh.
Thank you, man.
Take care, man.
All right, guys.
All right, Josh Maurer, radio broadcaster for the Milwaukee Brewers and the Milwaukee Brewers. All right, on the other side, we tossed this around yesterday. How are the Padres doing this? Brian Kenny, MLB Network, weighs in. Tons to get to. Mark Ziegler's on the show today. We're just getting started. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
Our San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday with the Bonus Bucks contest. Listen every hour, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Listen for the nationwide keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up soon on San Diego Sports 760. 2 sheets of paper here. When we get to, what is the last read? 519. I'm shooting both of these from here. I'm going 1 for 2.
You're going to try to shoot them in the trash?
I'm a 50% 3-point shooter.
I will take the under.
You don't think I'm hitting either?
I'm just trash talking. I'll make it harder.
No, that doesn't make it harder. That like
I've motivated you.
Yeah, I like go through a stage where I'm like, is that what he wants to say about me?
No, you know what? You'll hit both. It's easy.
All right, shut up. I like the other one better.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see in the 5 o'clock.
5:19. You can leave. If you're on the radio and you want to leave, that's fine, but come back at 5:15.
Okay, our listeners.
Yeah, our listeners.
Darnay Trip, NBC7 will join us at 4 p.m. We'll talk about the Padres on the road to Milwaukee plus STFC back home this week for a couple of matches. Then at 4:30, Mark Ziegler, the Aztecs added another European professional today, a forward, and we'll talk more about that coming up with Mark Ziegler, who covers the Aztecs at 4:30.
They might as well have a couple of games in Europe.
I would love to see that. Man.
Why don't you just
they have
toss 5 dudes,
international players, once from Africa, 4 from Europe. So definitely an international field.
By the way, just real quick here, and I know we'll talk about it with Ziegler. I'm very curious how that's going to work. Like, of course, San Diego State's not the first college to go out there and get a lot of these European players or international players. But the thing I love most about that concept, these guys have been playing pro for like 3, 4, 5 years.
Playing like 33-year-olds.
Yes. So are they going to, how much does that change when you're going up against an 18 or a 19-year-old? Like, how much of an advantage can that be? And like you said, they're playing a lot of, any collegiate athlete here, they're just playing other college players. Like they're not going up against 35-year-olds with a mortgage and 2 kids, you know? So I'm curious to see how some of that translates for San Diego State.
Some of the players that have played in the leagues that these players are coming over from have played in the NBA. There are guys with NBA experience, a ton of professional experience from the U.S. that have played. A lot of players that have had success in college basketball, guys that have played for San Diego State that have played in those leagues in Europe. All right, so Brian Kenny, he's worked for MLB Network for forever, and he's kind of like an insider when it comes to the numbers, and he breaks down the numbers. He tossed around the same topic that we did yesterday, and by and large, the last like 2 weeks, which is like, how are the Padres doing this? They're 24-16. How are they doing this? Let's hear from Brian Kenny.
And this is a bad news, good news situation. The bad news is they're not hitting. The good news is they're not hitting, but they're winning. So when you see this, you think, all right, so the pitching is great, right? No, not exactly. Michael King, Randy Vasquez, they've been quite good, but that's about it. So you think, oh, the defense and the base running is great, right? No, both are above average, but nothing crazy. The bullpen, all right, yeah, that's a different story. Now, the Padres are 8th in bullpen ERA overall. Top 3rd, but not elite. The difference, though, is in high leverage. Their bullpen A squad is elite. Remember, the Padres gave up top prospect Leo DeVries to get Mason Miller at last year's deadline. Miller is delivering 12 for 12 in saves this year, 0.96 ERA, number 1 strikeout percentage in the game. So what am I saying? I'm saying maybe the overall bullpen ERA is 8th, but in winning time, A squad, that bullpen is better than 8th. The question is, right, always, we ask it on the show all the time, what do you need to win? And is that the magic elixir, right? Because they're not hitting, not pitching that great. Here's the Padres in the snapshot, because they're winning. They're 29th in hitting. OPS plus 29th. Run differential, they're only plus 3, right? That's like a 500 club, should be. Base running runs, 6th. Starting pitcher ERA, 24th. And bullpen, as I mentioned, relief pitcher ERA is 8th. Defensive runs saved, plus 8, they're 13th. So it's not a great club if you just looked at this, plus 3 run differential. All this could tell you that the Padres are overperforming, getting fortunate. I hate to say lucky, but I don't know about that. This is a good team. 5 comebacks this year where they were down 4 or more runs. Remember the Malays team that I mentioned from 2022? That team didn't do that all year. It'll be fascinating to see if they've latched onto something, having just enough to compete all through the roster with a killer high leverage bullpen.
Just go. Don't.
Oh, my mic's not even on.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Listen, I think it's a conversation. This is not just a local story anymore. I think across Major League Baseball, people are asking the question of how are the San Diego Padres 8 games over 500 with so many of these variables. So I think that's a great little. It's not a hot take. He's obviously spitting a lot of facts. Literally, here are the stats. Here's why it's puzzling, and he's looking at the high leverage guys in the bullpen. It's puzzling. And we could continue to say it's puzzling, and they could continue to be 8, 9, 10 games over 500, and I could not care about it. We sit here today. Dodgers lost yesterday against the San Francisco Giants, and they're half game now in front of the NL West. So I try to not pay as much attention to the NL West because it's not been something that's up for grabs year to year. But to just be sitting almost through May, and it's like, okay, they're hanging with some of these other squads. How sustainable is it? Well, I feel like we've also been saying for the last 2 weeks, how sustainable is it? They're making it happen. They're finding ways to make it happen. And I'd be more optimistic moving forward. And I'll tell you why. I still think at the end of the day, these players are too good, the stars that the Padres have, to not do anything. They're still, they're if you want to just use the reference of the back of the baseball card as we say that, they're eventually going to hit. And the San Diego Padres, one of the reasons why some of their starting pitching is where it is because of health. So the hope is that they're only going to get healthier. And that might start with Lucas Giolito. I know that's not a health perspective, but that's just another arm coming. I'm completely fine with where they are. And if anybody is trying to figure out why they're sitting where they are, you figure it out. They're still 8 games over 500.
29th. In OPS plus. That is incredible. 29th. All right, we'll hear from Foul Territory on Fernando Tatis Jr. They say the silent part out loud, the part that's not said as often in San Diego. It is said nationally. We'll hear from them on the other side here until 6. Darn a trip at 4 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. The Padres are in Milwaukee getting ready for a series against the Brewers tonight. It's going to be an opener route for the Padres. Bradley Rodriguez is going to start it, and then Matt Waldron is expected to come in the second. And it's Brandon Sproat going for the Brewers. First pitch is set for 4:40. Only one NBA playoff game tonight. We got game 5 of Spurs Timberwolves. They should tip off a little bit after 5 o'clock. Safety starts underneath. That's why shop owners trust Napa for undercar solutions that stop issues, that go further with complete repairs and grow their business. From brake rotors to struts, Napa has what you need to keep undercar under control.
All right, San Diego Sports 760, Schaefer and Sliwa. The magic of radio here until 6 p.m. Darnay Tripp will join us from NBC 7. He's hopping on at 4 p.m. Mark Ziegler from the UT will join us coming up at 4:30. Reacting to what Brian Kenny had to say about the 24-16 Padres, how are they doing this? We'd love to hear from you. 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. I don't know if he got to the bottom of it or not. I don't know if anyone's going to get to the bottom of it or not. We've tried to get to the bottom of it.
I guess, the question, and I don't know what's more important. Do we need to get to the bottom of it, or do we just need to keep finding a way to win?
Yeah, probably the latter.
But I get big picture. I think we'd all agree with this. Big picture, it's going to have to change, right? Like big picture. And Manny, we played a clip of Manny yesterday, and I'll compliment Manny again. I think he was remarkably honest, and I think he was, saying the right thing, and I think he was calling out himself. And if they want to get to their ultimate goal, they can't play like this. Like, I think that's the piece that we all understand. So then do we just say, all right, but this is how they're playing, and this is how they're currently winning, and you just worry about it as the season progresses and say to yourself, if they go on a 3-4 game losing streak, or they lose 6 of 7 or something along those lines, then is it just talked about more? And it's like, hey, this was just a matter of time.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm only going to worry about it when, to your point, that inevitably occurs. They lost 4 or 5 at one point, or maybe it was 5 of 6 here recently. And the first thing we're harping on is, some of their struggles. So it'll be interesting. I mean, however you get there, I guess at the end of the day, I mean, if you get to 90 wins with a bad offense, isn't it better to getting there than with 88 wins with a good offense? Like if you had a top 3 offense with 87 wins, is that preferred to a bottom 3 offense with 91? Maybe, if both teams are in the postseason, which is a weird way to look at it, potentially. So I don't really know. I do know this: if we get to October and the Padres are in it and their offense is really bad, everyone will be talking about how you can't advance with a really bad offense.
Yeah, I think the kind of some of these games that we're talking about too, where they're going to have some good tests. You got the Brewers, you got Seattle, you got the Dodgers, you got some games. I think there's a series in between there against the A's. Are the A's still decent? Where are the A's now? A's are 21-19. So this is the American League. So you got basically 4 series in a row where you're going to either those bats are going to help you and take a little pressure off these arms, or they're going to do nothing to help you, and obviously just becomes a bigger and bigger headache, or a bigger and bigger problem.
Speaking of the bats, and one of those that obviously needs to get going, it's so easy here, whether it's Fernando Tatis Jr. or Manny Machado or Jackson Merrill. This is not rocket science. All of them need to perform better. That does include Fernando Tatis Jr. This was an interesting comment from Eric Kratz, who, by the way, was like a journeyman major leaguer of a catcher. His career WAR is under 0. He had a negative career WAR, but he has an opinion just like I do. My career WAR is also 0 in the major leagues. But he had some interesting things to say about Fernando Tatis Jr. Listen to this.
Can we say it out loud? Fernando Tatis' power has been down ever since he got caught doing steroids. Like, I don't know. Is it 0 power? Is it 0 home runs power? No. But it's completely down, and it's been down since, like, I think everybody thinks he's going to get back to his, like, 970 OPS. Like, I think those years are behind him. Like, he's a right fielder that has platinum glove defense and 0 power. Like, his exit velocity is still there, but his launch angle isn't. So, I mean, slow starts, or just maybe we're getting closer to what he's going to be. Like, I think now if Tatis has a 20 home run season, I would be like, whoa, okay.
So, okay, what do you think his OPS was his first 3 years? Like he said, I think he said 970. You think that's close to accurate for Tatis's first 3 years through 2021? Like pushing 1,000?
I'm assuming.
It was 965.
Okay.
Probably one of the best 3-year starts for a player debuting in the major leagues, right? Because from rookie year through. What do you think it is since he returned from suspension and injury? This is the start of the 2023 season. Actually, not the start. He was suspended to begin the season.
So
when he
that's
returned,
right. That's right.
Returned,
So he was, you said about 970?
965.
965 his first 3 years. Comes back after the injury and comes back after the suspension. Yeah. Is he in the 700s?
He's in the 700s.
Yeah.
787. Now, it's to put it in perspective of Major League Baseball, it's 117 OPS plus, 17% better than the average Major League hitter. The issue is his OPS plus through his first 3 years was over 160. So, like, historically good. So, is what Eric Kratz is saying there in foul territory fair? Is he right? He didn't say he's going to be a 0 home run hitter. He just said he's not the same hitter. The reason is steroids.
Listen, whether that's the reason or not, I think to pretend like that has nothing to do with it, I think would be, you got your blinders on, right? Like you're looking at this just from I'm a fan of Tatis, or I'm a fan of the San Diego Padres, but the only way that narrative is not there is if Tatis, since the suspension, was still the same player and he still had the same power and he still had nobody's questioning him and right. Nobody's questioning his defense. Nobody's questioning certain parts of his game. But what they are questioning is his power. And if this season, the only reason why this is a conversation that they're having on which platform,
it's foul territory.
It's foul territory. That's right.
Channels.
Yep. So the only reason why that's a conversation on foul territory is because Tatis has yet to hit a home run.
Correct.
The only reason why MLB Network was going out of their way and saying, hey, the Padres should trade Tatis to the Mets or the Yankees or this or that is because Tatis just isn't producing, and they're asking, does he need a change of scenery, something along those lines? The only reason why any of these conversations are happening on Tatis is because he's been so incredibly unproductive this year for the Padres, and his power has gone down over the years, and he's still sitting at 0 home runs as we sit here on May 12th. So again, to pretend that that's not a conversation and you can't have it, I think would be disingenuous.
Interestingly, tonight, they get him in the 2-hole as the second baseman. And what that allows them to do is put both Nick Castellanos and Miguel Andujar in the lineup. Again, Nick Castellanos coming off that moment, obviously, 2 days ago, to tie the game up in the 9th inning. And Miguel Andujar has been their above average hitter like Xander Bogaerts. I mean, he has been one of their 2 better hitters so far this year. And we will wait on bated breath for Fernando Tatis Jr. to hit a home run. And again, it's not the only way you impact games. That's the silly part about it. But when you're sitting on 0, people are always going to go there. You can go 2 for 3 with a walk and a double. And people are like, well, he hasn't homered. His actual offensive numbers are not horrific. They're not great, but they're not horrific. They're not bad because the power's lacking.
I was going to say, they're not Tatis. Like,
not
they're
even
not
anywhere near it.
$340 million. They're not face of the franchise. They're not, why I'm spending X amount of dollars to come out to the ballpark. Like, I don't really care what his stats are telling us today, because I don't think there's a stat. Like, we could do as best as we can to say, hey, Tatis did this and he got that single and he hit the ball this hard. The reason why Tatis is such a face of San Diego has nothing to do with the reasons of what he's done so far this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, the Padres did just have a transaction we'll share with you on the other side. Plus, we'll get into last night in the NBA. Look ahead to tonight. Huge game between the Spurs and the T-Wolves. And Darnay Triff from NBC7 will join us coming up at 4 p.m. Mark Ziegler from the UT, covers the Aztecs basketball program, joins us at 4:30 on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again for my friends at the all-new Humboldt Casino Resort, the Players Place, and we've been telling you for a while about their great property, the hotel and spa at Humboldt Casino, where you can experience elevated luxury with their refined hotel stay and rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Humboldt Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. And now take your stay to the next level with exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. You will love their dining options, including Humboldt 23 with their lobster buffet every day. Enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday now, 8 to 10:30 a.m., featuring made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, sweet and savory favorites. And make sure to swing by Tony Gwynn's for their endless dining, where you can enjoy San Diego's favorite endless dining experience Wednesday through Sunday at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub at the all-new Humboldt Casino Resort, the Players Place.
Yeah. It's all good. I'm right here.
All right, Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760. Darnay Tripp, NBC 7 will join us coming up at 4 p.m. Mark Ziegler from the UT hops on at 4:30. Of course, we'll get back to the Padres. They played 4:45 this afternoon in Milwaukee. Last night, we touched on this a little bit during the crossover me and you have talked about on the phone, but I don't think our listeners were listening in on our phone conversation this morning. That
I don't think they were.
Dude, we air that? What if we just
I think it's only on the podcast.
It's on the podcast.
Yeah, only on the podcast.
I'll tell you what, man, in watching that entire game last night, I'm talking Lakers Thunders, obviously, Lakers and Thunder. It was a great game. It really was very compelling. Lakers certainly could have won the game. Ultimately, they didn't make shots down the stretch. Now their long offseason begins. LeBron's future goes beyond that, obviously, as well. I looked at it like this. I can't wait to get your thoughts. There's nothing to be like ashamed of, but I will say this. When you're the LA Lakers, it's always through like the prism of, well, we're trying to win titles. But again, you go into the series not thinking like we're going to win a title and we're going to beat Oklahoma City. So I don't know what to say about it other than they weren't embarrassed in the series, but then again, they were swept in the series. You know,
that's pretty funny. I mean, I think there's the one thing that, and you know this, I've interacted with Laker fans over the years, and there's a little bit, I think, of this well, all the Lakers do, they win championships. No, not really the case. I mean, if you go back to since Dr. Jerry Buss passed away, it's not the same franchise. It's not. They have won championships since 2010. And for many franchises, hey, if you're the Denver Nuggets, you're the Milwaukee Bucks, like some of these franchises get their first championships ever. But I don't like the conversation when it comes to the Lakers of like, it's not the same franchise it was. Now, you got new ownership group coming in. And I think if, Mark Walter and his group weren't taken over, maybe I'd tell you that I got no, real genuine confidence of the direction of the Lakers. But I do think ownership obviously clearly matters, and we'll see what changes. But here's what you're dealing with. The Oklahoma City Thunder, let me just use, for anybody that's watching the NBA playoffs right now, who do you think was the biggest, most important player in that Lakers Thunder series?
The biggest, most important player.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to say
had the most impact in that series.
Like one of the reserves for Oklahoma City.
AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell was phenomenal. And it was a few nights that he was great. And AJ Mitchell was a number 38 pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got him under control for 4 total years. So maybe a couple years left, whatever the case is. They didn't have Jalen Williams. I know Lakers didn't have Luka. That's obviously critical. But the point is that the Thunder are not going anywhere for a handful of years. Right? The San Antonio Spurs are not going anywhere for a handful of years.
Yeah, not going away.
Rob Pelinka spoke. They kind of do their exit interviews right after. And we'd like to get LeBron back. We want to bring Austin Reeves back. And I know the Lakers know this, but if you try to run it back next year, I don't think your odds of beating the Oklahoma City Thunder are increasing, or your odds of beating the San Antonio Spurs are increasing. Maybe some other teams. So the Lakers got a lot to figure out over, this span. And I love what you said. It's like, I felt like they were in it, but they got swept. That's the part you should really pay attention to, but I know what you're referring to. They weren't losing each one of these games. No, actually they were. The first couple of games, they were losing by a pretty hefty margin.
It's weird because, like, here's the thing. Tell me if I'm wrong. You've covered the Lakers for 10 years. You followed them your whole life.
Yep.
The Lakers fans treat the Lakers like the New York Yankees fans treat the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Like the LA Dodger fans treat the LA Dodgers.
That one's different because I think that one's just kind of coming more to they're winning chips.
True, but I mean they were winning at a high clip. That's fair. We can separate them. Okay, I mean, give me another one. I don't know. Give me an NFL version of that. Is it? I don't know. Dallas has high expectations. They don't win anything.
No, that's that's why I don't know if that's the best comp.
Probably not.
Maybe it's.
But the point is, in the proud franchises, it's hard to spin, man. You know, like. It's hard to spin anything other than fact.
Yeah.
When you get swept in a series, when the Yankees lost to the Dodgers 2 years ago in the World Series.
Yep.
In 5. That was not that wasn't some great outcome in New York. Like, hey, we made it back to a World Series for the first time since 2009, if I have that right. I mean, you know what they're judged on. Now, I'm with you. I think the difference between that Yankees team and this Lakers team is people thought that Yankee team was capable of winning the World Series.
That's the difference.
And I think Lakers fans
right
are more realistic that they weren't. Nobody went into this postseason that was a Lakers fan that's being honest with themselves. Like, this is our year. Trust me. We got this great path. Where was that path?
I think the bigger question for them is how do they get on that playing field? That's the bigger question because a little bit over a year ago, Luka Doncic somehow, some shape, way, or form ended up a Los Angeles Laker. And I think there's some true optimism of you can build around a superstar. They got a superstar. You might not like him. You might not. Some people might say, you know what? He doesn't play enough defense. That's Luka Doncic is a superstar, period. He's a superstar. That's kind of what the franchise is known for. So what their challenge is going to be, how do you build properly around him like the Dallas Mavericks did? Are you going to hurt some feelings by you got to bring Reeves back and LeBron and all this, or is the number one goal just to win? And I feel like the Lakers kind of get caught in the middle of some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you. And at the end of the day, like, I feel like it's even harder in basketball than it is sometimes in baseball or football to close gaps. Oklahoma City, and nobody roots for this, Oklahoma City without injury is Oklahoma City. Even with injury, they're Oklahoma City. Look at Jalen Williams. San Antonio next year without injury still is going to be one of the best teams in the NBA, let alone the Western Conference. So it's like you can have a really good team and be the third best team in the Western Conference and be in the exact same spot.
Sure.
You can be in the Western Conference semis against one of the 2 teams better than you or one of the 3 teams better than you and staring at an uphill battle.
I'm just going to give it. Houston's going to eventually get healthy.
Right.
Denver's going to still be aggressive. Phoenix is going to get better. Minnesota's in the, still has a chance to get to the Western Conference Finals for 3 years in a row. So there's a lot of squads out there. I got a quick LeBron question for you. Is this dude coming back, isn't he?
You know better than I. Well, I mean, does it make more sense for him to come back or more sense for him to leave?
Well, this is, I think, more what I was referring to. So yesterday I had Dave McMenamin was on my podcast that I do in the morning. And McMenamin said, there's no longer a conversation of, do you think LeBron's coming back for his 24th season?
But is he coming back to LA?
But that in itself, it's like that was a story a couple of months ago. It's like, is this it for LeBron?
Right.
And now it doesn't feel like that's a question at all. So now the question just becomes, does he come back to the Lakers? Does he go to the Bay and go play with Steph and Draymond for a year? Does he go back to Cleveland? It feels like of all the scenarios out there, I still feel like he's going to come back to the Lakers.
What about the super team that I've been hyping up?
Washington. Ben Mathurin. Oh, okay. I thought you were going.
Everyone's going to the Wizards. He's going to follow MJ's path. He's going to Washington. He's winning big. They're going to win 39 games. They could be the 9 seed.
And he's one-upping him in the numbers. He's going to be 46.
Yeah, exactly.
Not 45.
He's going to be number 46 of the Wizards. I think you're going to agree with this.
Okay.
I think LeBron James returns to the LA Lakers.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it makes more sense than the other options, would be my guess. It just makes more sense.
The question for all of these guys is going to be, if they want to compete, like if LeBron is basically, all I care about is winning a championship, then the question is going to be, well, what's his contract going to look like? If Austin Reeves says, hey, I know I could potentially make over $200 million. I mean, technically, Austin Reeves can make 5 years, 241 would be his max with the Lakers, which is
That's
absurd.
Insane.
Which is absurd, by the way.
50 a year.
Would Austin Reeves say, hey, I'm good at 35 a year. I want to be a Laker. I want to play with Luka, and I just want to kind of try to build this thing out and hopefully use some of that money for some other players. It would be nice to think that he does. I don't know. I don't see Austin Reeves as a selfish player or anything like that, but also this is his real payday, right? So I also wouldn't be upset with him if he's like, I want 40 a year or whatever the case is based on what his current value is.
Max out your 401k, If you get to 241, you can max it out if you only end up with 190.
What do you think if he makes, let's say, 35 a year?
You can't put in your Roth. Do you know that? That's too much.
Well, what I was going to say, do you think he's still is he looking at his checking account before he goes to bed to just kind of look to see, hey, Netflix.
I'm paying too much of subscription.
All these things are starting to add up a little bit.
If you overdraft when you make 40 a year, they should charge you double overdraft fee. If you make 40 million a year, you're not allowed to overdraft from your checking account.
Interesting.
By the way, my favorite Rob Pelinka stat of all time, and we have Darnay Tripp on the other side, played 4 years for Steve Fisher at Michigan.
I know.
Won a national championship in 1989, played 4 years under Brian Dutcher. Obviously, he was an assistant at Michigan back in 1989 through the 1992 or 1993 season. Just kind of bizarre.
All right, I screwed up. I saw him during the Rocket series.
Yeah, you got to bring that up.
And just a quick, hello. And I didn't freaking bring it up. And I thought about it because what was it recently that they were all on? It was probably around the national championship game. Weren't they all doing something with Steve
the
Fisher?
Fab Five.
But they were doing something, right? Like there was.
They did a broadcast from the Final Four because Michigan was in it.
And how I did not bring that up to him. I'm going to bring that up next time.
Darnay Tripp, NBC 7, a kickoff hour 2 of Schaefer and Sliwa next.
This report is sponsored by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The Padres are in Milwaukee getting set for their series with the Brewers tonight. First pitch is set for 4:40. The Padres are going with the opener route. It's going to be Bradley Rodriguez starting it off, and then Matt Waldron is expected to come in the second. And then Brandon Sproat is on the hill for the Brewers. We got game 5 tonight in the NBA for Spurs Timberwolves. That tip-off for that will be around 5:10. You think a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt is the worst that could happen until you get in a crash. Suddenly, a ticket doesn't seem so bad. Click It or Ticket, paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
All right, hour 2 here. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, busy hour. Darnay Tripp, NBC 7, joining us now. Mark Ziegler from the UT, as the Aztecs have been busy in the portal, adding European players. Mark will join us coming up at 4:30. Darnay, appreciate you taking time for us. We've been asking this question for the better part of the season, but with the Padres 24-16, and you know the numbers, like we all know the numbers. The offense obviously hasn't been great. I guess the general question is, and still is, like, how have they been able to get to 24-16 based on some of the individual numbers that have played out over the first 40 games? And thanks as always for joining, man.
Yeah, of course. Always glad to be on with you guys. And it has been a puzzling season. And I think, like, if you go back, especially like 2022 was a weird year, right? Like, they were kind of, spinning their wheels here or there, and they kick it into high gear in mid-September and go to the NLCS. But I feel like every year since then, like, there's been clear, like, areas where they've been really, really good and areas where they've struggled a little bit. And a lot of it, I feel like, has kind of been like intangibles. Like 2023 vibes were not very good. The Stars did not perform, and they had zero bench. I think that was kind of a fair assessment of that year. 2024, pretty good seasons from the Stars, although, like, Xander Bogaerts didn't have a good year. Manny hasn't had an 800 OPS since 2022. Fernando didn't have an MVP type season. Jackson Merrill was awesome, but great bench and great vibes. Last year, bench not great. They still managed to get through. They had, solid seasons from some of their stars. But I think this year, like, yeah, you're not getting it from your stars. But I think what Castellanos said Sunday about the guys really liking each other, and that tends to show up in big moments in games. They're really, really connected. They're pulling for each other, and they have had the third best high leverage offense in all of Major League Baseball. And, you've seen it in past years. What was it, 2023, where they could not win an extra innings, a game in extra innings? They were, like, historically bad when it came to extra innings. I don't know if it's because they didn't like each other, but there was a connectedness in 2024. There is a connectedness in 2026. And I think that, and like a really functional, versatile bench. Again, that was a thing in 2024. It was the Donovan Solanos, the David Peraltas of the world, helped make them really, really dangerous. I think that's been the case this year as well. It's covered up some of the warts, and they've had, a number of 4 walk-off wins, a number of comeback victories. If those things go differently, you're looking at a team that's maybe got like 18 wins or so. Solid, probably somewhere around 500, but not as convincing. I shouldn't say convincing. Not as stellar as they have been to this point.
Yeah, listen, Darnay, I think it does say something that they have been able to be clutch when they need to. I think it says something that they've been able to come back in some of these games where you feel like, no, that's just too many runs. It's not going to happen. They've had a lot of pretty phenomenal moments here in just a quarter of the season. So, does it continue? I don't think anybody has the answer to it, but I do think good teams find ways to win, and the Padres have done it. What's your confidence level that Tatis and Machado, we can be sitting here in a couple of months and we can look back and say, do you remember how poorly they started? What's your confidence level that it's going to change?
Yeah, I think, decently confident. 2023, Manny was, probably as frustrated as he ever has been. I believe it was 2023. And when he kicked it into gear in June, was really, really good. No, maybe it was 2024 coming off of the elbow injury in 2023.
Yep.
Yeah, 2024 from June on, really, really good. Fernando's had a couple of these slumps now, and this is the worst. I think at some point he's going to click out of it, and he's such a momentum player that I think even that swing that he had Sunday that went 395 and fell short of the wall, like, is that like the most encouraging swing that he's had in like a month plus? Like, maybe that's a sign of where things are going. And it's funny, I think you can look at it like both ways. Like, maybe the high leverage numbers are going to dip. Like, maybe that's not sustainable. Maybe Miguel Andujar, what he's been doing isn't sustainable. Maybe Xander Bogaerts is going to slow down. But there's enough on the like opposite of that to make you feel like, okay, Merrill's going to get better. Tatis is going to do better. Machado's not going to have a 195 average the entire season. I think the rotation is going to get better. I think they're in the process of getting better. And so because you can kind of like, it cuts both ways a little bit. Like, I think there's reason to be optimistic and confident in this team, because it's not like, they're on this incredible heater and it's just not making any sense. Like, they're far from perfect. They're managing to kind of stick together and play well. I think like the intangibles are important, and there's room, even if certain guys, hit a slump. I think you're going to see other guys kind of wake up a little bit, and they'll hopefully balance itself out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. I think it's good perspective as well, and it does give them hope to continue to play well once these guys do get going. Tornay Tripp, NBC7 Sports Night in San Diego, back with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. I know we've talked to you about this, I'm sure, since the season has started, but from my seat, Craig Stammen is just a breath of fresh air. What have you thought of his job of managing, and secondarily just the work he's done with his interactions with the media this year?
Very, very pleasant, quite pleasant, as you would expect. I'm not in there every day like the ACs, Casavels, and Lins of the world, and the Marty Caswells of the world. But it is quite a different vibe. Whereas in recent seasons, a perfectly normal question or topic could be thrown the way of the manager, and you didn't quite know what type of answer you're going to get back, and the tone of that answer. It'll be interesting to see. Like, there's going to come a point in the season where Craig Stammen is having to answer some really hard questions, and maybe it's a hard question that he's starting to get tired of answering, and that will be kind of the test for him. Or maybe when we get closer to the playoffs, and if depending on where they are in the race come September. But I think, he is just such a level, even-keeled individual. And I do think if you ask him, I think treating people well is, something that is of value to Craig Stammen. And so I think that is reflected in how he interacts with people in general, and certainly with the media as well in kind of this new role. But AJ Casavel on Sunday on Sports Night, just ask him quickly, for a overarching kind of evaluation of Craig. And one of the things that he said that I think hit the nail on the head is, like, we've seen him grow and adapt after making mistakes. And we knew that there would be a learning curve, and he seems to be handling that part of it well. Like, we're not seeing the same mistake over and over and over again. And it even felt like, when he pulled Michael King last week, when he could have gone through 7, I think it was, early in the year, I think the knock on him was he's a reliever at heart, and he has that internal confidence. Like, I can get another out, I can get another inning. And maybe he was pushing. There was the incident with Kyle Hart, left him in there too long. There are other situations where he, probably pushed the guys a little bit too long. And I feel like that leash has kind of tightened a little bit. And so I think that's one area where he has evolved. And I think the willingness to try things and experiment and just being open to whatever could possibly get the team going has been one of his strengths. Do I look at him and say NL Manager of the Year at this point? No, not necessarily. I wouldn't say he's done like an A+ job, but I think it's been encouraging to this point, and you're seeing somebody grow and again, not put themselves in the position where they're making the same mistake over and over again, which is kind of all you can ask.
Darnay Tripp, NBC7 Sports Night in San Diego, joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show. Darnay, what are you hoping to see? We are looking at the schedule coming up here, and I think the competition is going to get tougher, which by the way, I think it's a good thing for the Padres. I think, kind of getting a chance to see them, Milwaukee, Seattle, you got the Dodgers, A's are playing above 500 baseball right now. Philadelphia is starting to make a little bit of a resurgence here. What are you hoping to see over these next 3-4 series where the competition is going to get better? And it doesn't have to be a record perspective, just the type of baseball you're hoping to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of a sneaky, important stretch potentially because of what you said. I mean, the A's have been better this year. I feel like the traditionally bad teams have been better. We've seen in the White Sox and the Rockies so far. You mentioned the Phillies. Mariners had a dreadful start. They swept them. Do they see a different Mariners team? Although Cal Raleigh's in a terrible slump of his own. And then obviously the Dodgers. Every NL Central team, I think, still has a winning record. And so you got another test now on the road. And then, of course, the series, that'll arrive next week on Monday is going to be huge. Yeah, I mean, I think, anytime when that Dodger series rolls around, like just, being competitive and showing that what we've seen the first quarter of the season is no fluke. And, whether or not you take the series is one thing, but like we want to see some battles, and so I think that's important, just kind of setting the tone for that series now going forward. And then obviously, offensively, what are they doing at the plate? I think they've got Mizorowski. I think, is it today or Wednesday?
I think it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Mizorowski and King, great matchup. What do you do when you're facing top flight arms? They saw Skeens, didn't go great against him. And so, yeah, offensively, I think that's probably in terms of like, what do you want to see? I think, it'll take a lot to knock that off the top of the list. Because that's obviously so important to the team and the thing that's kind of got us all scratching our heads. They've shown signs of kind of figuring things out a little bit, but then they have a game like they had the first eight innings of Sunday. So I think we're all begging to see some sort of consistency offensively, not scoring 10 runs every night, but not going 6 games or so without scoring more than 3 or 4 either.
Man, even thinking back on that game, the last game they played, that really is an amazing job to win that game. I have no idea how they did that even 48 hours later. Darnay, always appreciate it, man. Hope all is well. Again, for our listeners, you can catch Sports Night in San Diego Sunday nights with Darnay Tripp on NBC7, and we appreciate you hopping on, man.
Thanks, Darnay.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Great stuff from Darnay Tripp. Mark Ziegler will join us in 15 minutes. There's some news around the Padres we need to share with you, and we will. Okay. On the other side, they're getting ready for the Brewers coming up in about 30 minutes or so. We're here until 6 p.m. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Looking forward to connecting with Mark Ziegler. He'll join us in about 11 minutes. Aztecs very busy in the portal. We saw Brian Dutcher yesterday out in Rancho Penasquitos. Naughty Barrel. Looking good, wasn't he? He was looking really good.
Yeah, he was. You guys were kind of far apart. He's like, Shafe.
It's like, yo.
Yeah, he is just basically like, I mean, almost kind of fanboyed you for a quick second there.
I don't know.
Yeah, he came your way like, John, I want to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, it was good to see him.
Did you see Sean?
Did you see Sean Lewis? I know we talked
by the
Sean
time.
Lewis.
What time did he get there? Because I left
right when you left.
Yeah, I left probably 6:15, something like that. I was gone.
So you didn't see him?
No.
I'll tell you what, man. Sean Lewis looks like he could play like in the NFL. He's a big dude. He is strong.
How about that dude yesterday from the owner of Naughty Barrel Rancho Penasquitos?
Oh, yeah, he told us a ridiculous story.
Well, okay. Outside of that story, that guy also looked like he was ready to play power forward.
Yeah,
for a G League team if they gave him an opportunity.
Can we share the story on the air? Did we share it on the air?
No, we did share. We shared it with Dutch because the story was about Dutch, and Dutch had never heard that story. Share it.
Yeah, the owner, like in '99, is trying to get into San Diego State. He played a couple of years of college basketball.
San Diego, I think even from that area, but playing at Palomar. Yep.
And he like connected with Dutch, and Dutch was like, "Yeah, you know, we'll see what we can do. Maybe you could be like, I don't know, like our 12th man or on the practice squad." Like,
yeah, he's like, I just want to walk on.
Yeah, and it like this, the gentleman that we talked to that owns Naughty Barrel was like, Brian Dutcher is the reason why I got into San Diego State, and he doesn't even realize that. Like, I went to San Diego State because of a conversation I had with Brian Dutcher in 1999.
And Dutch, we told Dutch the story because he had never heard the story.
He's like, yeah, I can see that.
He's like, what year? Yeah. I'm like, 99. He's like, oh yeah, we had just got there, just building their program.
I can see that. Couple of Padres notes to pass along here that have played out over the last 20 or 30 minutes. Alex Verdugo, we spent a good amount of time in the major leagues. I had forgotten about this. The Padres had signed him to a minor league deal.
Okay.
He's been released, and he was dealing with what? Some type of injury.
Shoulder injury. Yep.
So he's been released. Again,
which is expected to keep him out the rest of the season because he's going to require some surgery.
So we hadn't seen him, and we're not going to see him. So that's a tough break for Alex Verdugo.
Yep.
And then apparently Craig Stammen saying this afternoon that Ruben Niebla is tending to a family matter for the next couple of days and will not be the acting pitching coach for the Padres over the next day or two in Milwaukee. So something to consider.
Sure.
Such a highly regarded pitching coach. He will not be available. He's not appearing, but he won't be with the club over the next day or two in Milwaukee. But over 162, we saw Craig Stammen actually miss a day or two.
100%.
Within the last week or so.
Yeah, that stuff like that's going to happen. It's no different. But I know what you mean. Like anytime you don't have your full squad or your somebody that you feel like is important within your system, of course, it's obviously worthy news.
Yeah, Ben Fritz, by the way, who's been like the bullpen coach for the Padres, he will handle pitching coach duties for Ruben Niebla, who will tend to a family matter for the next 2 days. Again, Padres and Brewers game, one of a 3-game set. Padres will be in Seattle. Alan touched on that earlier. And then a week from yesterday, the Dodgers are here. But there's time for that. They have 6 games to play. Nobody needs to concern themselves yet with that series. But I will say this. I've said it for years here.
Okay.
The reaction will always be an overreaction, probably one way or the other, when those two teams meet for a first time in a season.
Is there how do we get it to where it's not that? Because I'm with you. I'm with you.
I know.
And I'm the same way. This will be the first time that I'm doing a show with you.
Yep.
When the Padres are taking on the Dodgers. And I think it's healthier for everybody, including myself, that there isn't an overreaction when they play the Dodgers.
I agree.
But I don't know really like what's the maybe I care less about us and maybe fans, but I'm hoping that at least in that clubhouse, like, can Stammen be the type of manager that's like, guys, why is anyone making a big deal about this? There's 162 games. The only time it's a big deal if we face them in the postseason. Like, I think it would help. Mike Schilt he was not the type of manager to temper that down. I think Mike Schilt.
He almost fought Dave Roberts.
Right. I think Mike Schilt only created this, and maybe that was a strategy from Mike Schilt. Maybe Mike Schilt's like, hey, the more personal we can make this, the more, like, maybe he just thought if there's a way that we can, it was his strategy. I my hope is, and just kind of how calm, cool, and collected that Craig Stammen has been so far. I hope that approach is a little bit different because I don't think it helps the Padres win.
It's funny.
It's
like Craig, as we've talked about. The funny thing is The Dodgers made it personal in 2024, and it worked. The Dodgers made it personal in 2024 in the postseason. That right, the vendetta, the Machado sinister sling.
Didn't
I
start
took that personally,
but didn't some of that also start? I think in Game 2, right? That's when Profar was out there.
Tatis,
all that stuff kind of started then. And I would say, and this is just me. And again, like you said, they're not playing the Dodgers. I mean, you got to get through Milwaukee, you got to get through Seattle. I mean, there's 6 games here in between before they go up against the Dodgers. But to me, it's like you never wake up a sleeping giant. And I think the Padres back in 2024, I thought they were playing with some fire there, because it's like, no. I would rather be complimenting and congratulating my opponent and then quietly try to kill them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as opposed to go about it like in a flaunting type manner. I
like
even
basically
go back to
yelling 100 yards away, like, we're coming to kill you. I'm like, I'd rather just be sitting in the trees.
There was some dumb random April series in, like, what year was it when they put up the Kershaw meme when they swept a series or won a series?
Can I ask you a question?
Sense.
What did you think of that?
I hated it.
It was the
fire to compete against have. So they've got to be smarter. They've got to go find value in other places. And one of the areas it's very clear that they believe they found some value in, almost a cheat code, is not just European pros. I mean, everyone's been getting European pros the last few years, but finding rising young stars who are on very good teams and maybe don't get the minutes because they're playing on a team with veteran rosters that start all a bunch of 30-year-olds and seasoned veterans, most of them Americans. And so they're a little bit under the radar because of it. Their stats aren't super impressive, but they're very good players and they're pros and they have a lot of experience at a very high level. And so that's what they've done in all 3 of these cases. Luca Vincini fits that exact same profile. He averages 6.5 points a game, plays 18 minutes a game. But he's in the top division in Italy. He's playing against some of the biggest, best centers, in the world outside the NBA. And he holds his own, and he's 22 years old. And so that's why they went after a guy like him.
Mark is kind of I guess, I don't know if the concept is the right one here, but the hope is 1 or 2 of these guys hit. And, you're going out there, you're obviously trying to be active. I do agree. I think the experience part of it, where these guys might be playing with pros that are in their 30s, I feel like that should have a great advantage in collegiate athletics, specifically in the Pac-12. But is the hope, hey, we know not all of these are going to be home runs, but maybe 1 or 2 of these guys can kind of be the face of the program or kind of build themselves up to that? Is that kind of the goal here when you're signing as many players as they have internationally?
Yeah, I mean, all 3 of these guys bring different skill sets. So it'll be interesting to see which kind of skill set translates. Luka Skoric from Croatia is a 6'9" wing, and he plays on the perimeter. He shoots the 3, he can handle the ball, drive off the, sweep and drive and get to the basket. He's not a 6'9" low post player. I mean, he can score in the post, but that's not his game. David Torsani, Italian guard they got last week, is a blazer. He's just a burner. He's really fast, quick, shoots the 3, can play the 1 or the 2, but adds an element of speed to their team that maybe they didn't have. And then Luca Vincini, the guy they signed today, is much more of a traditional low post player. He shoots a little bit on the perimeter, but he's more of a sprint out, set screens, roll hard to the basket, rebounder, sort of connect the offense, get it going a little bit quicker from the post position that maybe they've had in the past. So they all bring different skill sets. We're going to see which one of those really fits. I think David Torsani has the best chance of adjusting quickly because of his athleticism and his speed. And I think that translates to the college game, which is a much quicker, more frenetic game. The European pro game is older. They play fewer games. They usually play 1 game a week, and they practice probably 7 or 8 practices before it. They do a lot of 5-on-0 stuff. They work on plays quite a bit. It's much more of a half-court game. And so for those guys who are used to playing that, they're going to have to get used to the speed and just the craziness of college basketball and the athleticism and explosiveness. But I think with Torsani, I think he's going to have a chance to just step right in and be good right away.
Great perspective from Mark Ziegler, who covers the beat for San Diego State men's basketball in the Union Tribune. Mark, we've touched on this, but the Aztecs will have more opportunities in the non-conference from a scheduling perspective in the Pac-12 because they are only playing 16 league games. There's only 8 opponents home and home. Plus, the NCAA is allowing now an additional non-conference game, so all the way up to 32. Some of this has been laid out, but what do you think the philosophy is going to be, and what is it going to mean for Brian Dutcher and his staff to have more flexibility with scheduling?
Yeah, there's two approaches. You saw last year a lot of mid-majors went to playing kind of each other, the top of the mid-major ranks, and building metrics that way, and building a resume through metrics. Not necessarily going and getting a marquee win against a power conference team. I mean, Utah State played no power conference schools. And there's some merit to that, because as all the money flows into power conferences, the gap between power conferences and mid-majors grows and grows and grows. It was the largest statistically, and eye test as well. It was the largest that it's ever been last season. And a guy like Jared Calhoun at Utah State said, I'm not sure I want to play the power conference schools because I'm not sure I can beat them. And I'd rather try to take my chances of beating them in March in the NCAA tournament, which he ended up doing against Villanova, and gave Arizona a reasonably good game at the Arena in the NCAA tournament. The other approach is what San Diego State's always done, is play as many power conference schools as is reasonable and try to knock 1 or 2 or 3 of them off. And they've done that in the past. Last year they did again. They beat Oregon, but it turned out Oregon had a slew of injuries and was not the team they actually beat, and not the same team that they could have been if they'd been healthy all season. And so that win really didn't help them. They came close to Baylor, ended up losing that game. So I think they're going to stick with that approach, and you're going to see them play a lot of neutral court games against power conference teams, and we'll see if it works. So Brian Dutcher has also said if it doesn't, he's open to adjusting and going to the other option of not playing as many in future seasons.
Mark, what do you make of the expansion, going to 76 teams, and maybe specifically how you think it benefits, hurts? What are the advantages, disadvantages for San Diego State in that?
Well, it's going to help them because it's going to get them in the tournament. They didn't get in this past year. They would have been one of the first teams in the expansion group that would get in. On a personal level, I hate it. I think it dilutes the tournament. I don't think they've thought through the logistics of it, because having covered San Diego State and when they made the first 4, I mean, they went to selection. So they came back from the conference tournament. They went to selection Sunday. You find out who you're going to play at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And if you've got to play on a Tuesday, you're on a plane the next morning. And in the case of their first 4 games, they didn't even have a practice on the floor to prepare for North Carolina because they had to travel. And okay, so the first 4, that's just, it's 4 teams one night, 4 the next. It's not that big of a deal. But if you're going to do that now with 12 teams, it's just going to be crazy. And the amount of travel and the amount of logistics, you're going to have tired teams, unprepared teams. And I just don't think it's becoming the NCAA tournament. If you can't make it into a 68-team field, then I'm not sure you should be in it, at all. And I don't think, if you look at those extra teams that they're adding, I mean, how many of them are really any good that you'd want to watch? I mean, San Diego State by its own admission really wasn't great. And how many people really would want to watch them play another game? I just don't like it. And I think the coaches kind of feel the same way, but it's all about money and marketing, and more games brings more money. And that's why they're doing it.
Mark Ziegler from the UT with us right now at Schaefer and Sliwa. Mark, I wanted to switch gears to something you wrote over the weekend that I completely agree with. It has to do with the World Cup. And this idea that, are we inside of a month? We're inside of a month now. And
inside of a month.
Where is the, this national enthusiasm for this global event, this massive event with 48 teams for the first time, and it's played across the continent. It'll be played in Southern California as well. Even some friendlies coming up in San Diego. Why is that? Why is it that we don't see the same level of enthusiasm, exuberance that we saw when it first got here 30 something years ago?
Well, I mean, soccer's changed. I mean, back then it was sort of the moment for Americans to embrace the sport. And I'd always said that soccer had already arrived in some communities. I mean, obviously in some of our immigrant communities, it was a huge deal, but it was much more sort of under the radar, and it put it out there, and people kind of had to accept, wow, this is the world sport. This is a big deal. There isn't that same kind of novelty now. And that's sort of been replaced with the cynicism for FIFA and how they're operating this tournament. I mean, talk about the NCAA overexpanding. What about the World Cup? I mean, they're going from 32 to 48.
Right.
Okay. So the first round is going to last 17 days. They're going to play 72 games, which is more than they played in any previous tournament combined in total in an entire tournament. So in those 17 days and 72 matches, they're going to take the field from 48 to 32. They're basically 16 teams that didn't deserve to be here anyway. And you're going to see horrible matches. People are paying ridiculous amounts of money, and a lot of them paid for these tickets before they had the draw, and they knew who they're going to see. And all of a sudden, you bought a ticket in Santa Clara, and you think, great, we're going to go to the World Cup. Who do we get? Jordan versus Algeria. And you're going, wait a minute, what are we watching here? I mean, a second division game in the Bay Area probably is a higher level than some of these teams that are coming. And it's just going to make for bad soccer. And so it's still the World Cup. It's still exciting. But I think we're going to have to wait till the round of 16 for this thing really to get going. And I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of buzz before that. It's just going to be too much, too fast. But it is the world. It's the world's most popular sport. So don't underestimate it, I guess would be my advice. Once the game start going, maybe people get into it.
Mark, final one for me. And you had right before you came on, you had posted another article on the UT or in the UT here. He said the title of it, here's what Chucky Lozano will make not to play for San Diego FC in 2026. You might just kind of, for those who haven't got a chance to read it, how it applies. And I'm sure this has also something to do with how SDFC has started out the season. Would love just kind of a recap of your piece here.
Yeah, I mean, so every year the Players Association in Major League Soccer releases salaries. It's actually a very cool thing, very transparent thing, and they do it in the spring, and they do it sort of a more final number in the fall because sometimes guys get traded or change their contracts. But in these preliminary numbers, SDFC they rank sixth out of the 30 teams in terms of total payroll this year. Around 24 million. However, 9.3 of that is going to Chucky Lozano.
Wow.
So he's going to make 6 in base salary, and then he's going to make another 3.3 in bonuses. And these are like marketing bonuses, signing bonuses, annualized over the length of the contract, agents' fees, things of that nature. Last year, he only made 1.6 in additional money from the base salary of $6 million. This year, it's 3.3, and that's not broken down exactly what it is. It's not performance bonuses. We know that. That's not included in that number. And so that's $9 million out of $24 million payroll. So when you take him out, and he hasn't been playing, they got in the spat and they decided to move in a different direction, haven't played him at all this season. If you take his salary out, it's at $15.1 million. That ranks 26th out of 30, or 23rd out of 30. So they're down there on the list, and that's kind of about how they're playing right now. They're kind of playing as like, the 20th, 23rd team in MLS. But it just, when those numbers come out, they're eye popping, and they've got to find a solution. I think they'll really, really push right after the World Cup during the international transfer break when teams all over the world are looking for players. And that's the biggest market. I think that's going to be their best chance to get rid of them and get the salary off their books. But it's an ugly number right now until they do that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Mark, always appreciate you taking time for us, and we look forward to doing it again soon.
All right, my pleasure. Anytime.
Thanks, Mark.
Great stuff. Really great reporting from Mark Ziegler at the UT. All right, we're going to get back to LeBron's future on the other side. Updates from Milwaukee for the Padres and Brewers series. The wrap coming up at 5 p.m. plus a giveaway for you between now and the end of the show. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, we're going to get to the wrap at 5 p.m. Padres and Brewers will keep you updated on that 3-game set from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Series that is underway. Schaefer and Sliwa, we do have a giveaway, Alan, today. And that is a pair of tickets to see Rod Stewart, June 12th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That would be 1 month from today. Maybe you and I could go.
Let's go.
Throw out the first pitch.
Did Santana already go?
I think it's coming up.
Coming up?
I think it's coming up.
I think that's the one. That's the one that I want to target.
Santana?
Yeah.
There was Motley Crue we gave away. We got Rod Stewart tickets this week that we're giving away.
Got good stuff here.
So we have some good things. We'll give those away coming up. All right. You shared some sound. Is this from LeBron James, by the way, this afternoon? I should be better with this.
It was I think last night, right after the game.
It was after the game.
A lot of these guys basically do their exit interviews.
Yes.
Right after the game. All
right. So this is LeBron post game. Let's listen to this and react.
I don't know. I think for me, it's about the process. Like, you know, if I can commit to still being in love with the process of showing up to the arena 5.5 hours before a game to start preparing for a game, you know, giving everything I got, diving for loose balls and, you know, doing everything that you know that it takes to go out and play, and, you know, showing up to practices, you know, 11 o'clock practice, I'm there at 8 o'clock, preparing my body, preparing my mind, preparing to practice, to put the work in. And, you know, so I think for me, I've always been in love with the process and not the, you know, the aftermath of like, okay, well, we won that game or won a championship, or I've always enjoyed the process and more than the outcome, you know, so I think that would be a big factor. And then also, you know, have a conversation with my 12-year-old daughter. You know, that's a big factor. And my 19-year-old son is entering his second year at Arizona, you know, and my wife as well. So they're a huge factor in any decision I've made. So they'll be a big part of it as well.
Not Bronny, though.
Not Bronny.
Not his teammate.
No. Teammate, he's good. Teammate's got some cash coming in from the Lakers. Yeah. He's good to go there.
I like what I said there. I mean, how could a 40-year-old, older than that, right? 41, coming
41 next season,
23rd season. Yeah. How could you just say, you know what, guys? I want to tell you something right now. Mm-hmm. Not only am I back, I'm looking for a 3-year deal. I mean, yeah, it takes time, which makes sense considering the length of these years, dude. You know it better than I do. They've been playing for 9 months or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think for him, like it's a weird situation with LeBron because I think he's still putting up, you know, obviously monster numbers. Yep. He was the best player in the postseason for the Lakers. Right. I know Reeves was only there for a handful of games, but he's a lot more consistent than Austin Reeves is, and just from a all-round basis, less turnovers, things along those lines. He's accepted his role. The problem, I think, with the Lakers is how much are you going to have to give LeBron to come back next season? And if you're giving him, even if you're giving him $35 million and it's a 1-year contract, all right, well, how are they going to get better? Right? Because the problem is not you're a LeBron piece away from competing against the Oklahoma City Thunder or the San Antonio Spurs. You're not an Austin Reeves piece away. You just got you got these very critical, important pieces that they have to figure out. But even if they bring back LeBron and Austin Reeves, it doesn't guarantee them anything in the Western Conference. If you're LeBron, what's most important at this point? Is LeBron cool with saying, no, I'll make 20, 25 million, go out there and get some more, you know, obviously some more talent, whatever the case is? Or does LeBron say, should I go play somewhere else? But I have a difficult time now at this point seeing him play. If he comes back and he obviously returns, I got a difficult time thinking he's going to play somewhere else.
Well, here's my thing. You mentioned this earlier. If Austin Reeves is going to get the max contract, well, I mean, who is anyone, I guess, to take less? I've made this point. I understand what you're saying. Like, I make the point, why does LeBron James take $1 or the equivalent? Whatever the minimum is for a player of his tenure. Mm-hmm. Again, he's the most experienced player in the history of the NBA. But whatever the minimum is, why doesn't he take it? And you make a really good point because, well, why would he, considering his stature? But then I look at Austin Reeves and how many chances we ever have to make 241 over 5 years. Let me answer that. This is the one time you have that chance. Why should he take less? But at the end of the day, if you're trying to build something that's championship caliber, you got to look at people like LeBron James and Austin Reeves and say, listen, how are we getting on equal footing with teams like Oklahoma City and San Antonio? It's not by maxing out your deals. It's by getting players that can help you get on equal footing with these teams.
Yeah, the problem with the Lakers is there are too many. The Oklahoma City Thunder, it's not just these two teams, but you got to be able to draft, develop, crop your own guys. By the way, they're a lot cheaper when you have them when they're younger.
Right.
There's a lot of advantages to kind of growing within. Their teams are doing that. San Antonio Spurs, you got kind of go look at the way they've done it. That doesn't mean they don't have big time contracts. De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes. There's some players out there that have big contracts. I mean, obviously for the Oklahoma City Thunder, Chet, Jalen Williams, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they're all making, major money. But the problem with the Lakers, they don't have these 3-4 young guns that are, coming through the system. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much confidence in this player and that player. They just don't, that has not been part of their, identity and their model. And that's going to have to eventually change.
I could see them not winning an NBA title next year. I said, no matter what they do, I mean, if LeBron returns, if he doesn't, if Austin Reeves gets maxed out, or if he doesn't.
Yeah, the surprise is they are competing, not the surprise will be that they're competing for a championship.
Not to say, listen, with Lucas 27, do I believe that as a 29-year-old or 30-year-old or 31-year-old, they'll have a team that is there? Yeah, I probably do. But I don't think it's easy.
And maybe it can come sooner than later. And I don't know how much new ownership can impact that, but that's they got a ways to go.
They got a summer to figure some things out.
You said something earlier about, they were in a lot of these games, but they got swept. Like at the end of the day, when the dust settles, they got swept.
Yeah, exactly. All right. On the other side, we'll get to the wrap to kick off the final hour of Schaefer and Sliwa. Also, we'll give away those Rod Stewart tickets, updates from Milwaukee. What JD Wicker had to say to us as well in the 5 o'clock hour about the future of the Pac-12. You'll hear that coming up at 5:15. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. The Padres and Brewers are underway in Milwaukee right now. They just went to break. There we go. Bottom in the second. We have no score in Milwaukee. Let's see. Yep. Matt Waldron is out there now, and he's going up against Brandon Sproat. In NBA news, sources are telling ESPN that Daryl Morey is out as president of basketball operations with the 76ers. Sources also say that Nick Nurse will continue his role in his fourth season as head coach. But breaking news, Daryl Morey is out as president of basketball operations for the 76ers. Only one playoff game tonight, tipping off here in about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, about 5-10 minutes. We got Spurs Timberwolves game 5. Safety starts underneath. That's why shop owners trust Napa for undercar solutions that stop issues, go further with complete repairs, and grow their business. From brake rotors to struts, Napa has what you need to keep undercar under control.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour. Final hour of Schaefer and Sliwa. It has been a good show. There have been ups and downs.
A lot of downs.
But it's just the final hour today. Final hour today.
Couple ups.
Yeah, there's been some ups. Like when we gave away Rod Stewart tickets in the 5 o'clock hour of the May 12th show, which we'll do this hour. We'll give away tickets to see Rod Stewart this hour. We'll hear from JD Wicker this hour. He joined us yesterday from Naughty Barrel, Rancho Penasquitas. Talk about the future of the Pac-12. You asked a very, very good question that elicited an excellent answer from JD.
I was hard hitting last night.
You were
very hard hitting.
How was the gym, by the way?
That conversation was phenomenal. How's the gym?
Yeah,
gym
you
after?
said you were on the way to the gym.
It was busy.
You ate wings and then went to the gym.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got this thing going on right now where let's just say my food isn't all that healthy, but I'm still going to the gym.
Which is good. Which is really good.
It's almost like defeating the purpose. How about you just eat healthy and then you don't have to do anything?
Yeah, but sometimes you want to play for the tie.
That's sometimes you want to play for the tie.
Yeah, it's better than losing.
That's right.
Right. You don't always have to win.
We'll take a tie.
Yeah.
Even though I think I'm losing right now when it comes to the gym health combination.
Yeah, but Alan, Joe Thomas once said that he likes to eat. That's why he works out. He doesn't work out so that to be in shape. He works out so he can continue to eat.
I'm gonna try to use that as like my motivation, my new motivation in life. So I went to the gym yesterday. A couple quick gym stuff, real quick here. So lot of same thing. You know, I haven't gone to the gym. I don't typically go in the evening, so it was a lot different than it typically is because it's packed as hell as you can imagine.
Yeah, after work.
They got a gym. They have a basketball court. And this basketball court, I went to just go take a peek because I like taking some shots and then 5-10 minutes, just take some shots.
Oh,
and
you
then
got
take
shots
off.
up.
Did not get shots up yesterday because there was 77 people in the gym yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I don't miss those days of playing basketball.
You didn't be like, yo, let's put a team together.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Let's run this place.
That ain't happening. That's number one. Number two, back to the 16-year-olds that are all flexing on public mirrors in the bathroom where guys are walking around with a towel and some guys choose not to use a towel. And that might be in the background of your photo of your biceps, you idiot.
Did the guys look like me, the 16-year-old, like buff dudes?
What are they doing? When did this become a thing?
Ever since the invention of the phone that travels in your pocket.
Yeah, but brother, so when you go to the gym, you got people that are just everybody just taking photos in the bathroom. By the way, if you're going to take a photo, take it out where the weight room is.
Is it even legal to take a photo in a bathroom? Serious question. A public bathroom, you should not be taking photos.
These guys are just looking, like this, and there's this. I'm like, do you know there's a 74-year-old behind you?
Right. This is why I don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't blame you. So yeah, I did go to the gym yesterday after.
What if they tag the 74-year-old though? Then is it okay?
Yeah,
respect
at 74-year-old.
Then there's a lot of respect to that.
We'll hear from JD Wicker coming up in about 10 minutes. But right now, let's get to the wrap. I might have got tagged.
All I know.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Can SDFC still win at a high level with Chucky Lozano still on payroll?
Oh man, how about that article from Ziegler about this?
Actually, just put that out.
So he's basically taking. Chucky is probably taking 33% of their entire.
It's a big number.
Maybe a little bit less than that because he has the 6 number, but I think there's some bonuses there. Well, he'll earn 9. No,
9 out of 24 million.
Yeah,
do the math on that.
Yeah, no,
37.5%.
You cannot be successful if Chucky is on your payroll. If 9 are going towards a player that is not playing for you, and by the way, hasn't it played out this way? Go look at SDFC this season. It's been a very frustrating start to the year, and we'll see what they're able to do. But clearly, no, they cannot have success if 9 mils go into Chucky and he's not a part of your franchise.
You know how much this is in the article? You know how much Messi receives in Miami? And he's worth every penny, that's what I'm going to tell you.
North of 20.
28.3. And Chucky, by the way, is the 4th highest paid player in the league. To your point, not playing.
Yeah.
Messi, obviously, the highest paid player in the league, is making over 28 million. But again, worth every penny.
Yeah,
obviously.
worth 40, worth 50. Doesn't matter. It's freaking Messi.
He's worth everything. We'll see. SDFC is playing both Wednesday and Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium.
This week.
Huge opportunities. You can hear them right here on San Diego Sports 760. Next question.
Where will Bronny play? Where will LeBron play next season?
Well, both.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. Okay, what are the teams that he can you think will actually be in the running?
Well, he has college eligibility. He's too young probably for the college game today.
Cleveland will be, I'm just going to, again, pick the teams that I think might have a shot. Cleveland, I would say Golden State, the Clippers. Would those technically be the 3 teams? Yeah, just because it's in L.A., if he doesn't want to pick up and move and operations, and the Clippers say, hey, how are the Lakers lowballing you? We'll pay you X amount of dollars. You can play with Kawhi.
I love it.
I just think he comes back to the Lakers. If he continues to play, which all signs are pointing that he will, I have a difficult time now thinking. And by the way, if you asked me this question a couple of months ago, I would not have had the same answer. So I think the Lakers.
I think the Lakers as well. I think he returns for one final season. I think his next season will be his final season, although he's proven that he's capable of playing beyond probably next year as well. But I do think there'll be a moment where it does come to an end. There is an inevitability.
Is he getting to 25 years? Holy Jesus. Is this 25. Man playing 25? He plays 25. If he plays 25, he'll have played 10 seasons with the Lakers. What did Magic play? I think Magic only played 12, maybe 13.
The NBA has not been around for 100 years, has it? Because with the 75th anniversary when? With the top 75 team. We'll have played 25 of the 85 seasons in the history of the league, which is just
absurd.
Complete insanity.
And still good.
You looking up the Magic number, Brett?
13 seasons.
Yeah, 13.
13 with the Lakers. How many did Kobe play with the Lakers?
20.
19, 20.
Yeah.
Next question.
Who wins tonight's Spurs-Timberwolves game?
Big game.
Spurs-Timberwolves game 5, series tied 2 apiece. Wembanyama doesn't get that, suspended after he basically took out Naz Reid, literally took him out. I think San Antonio wins. Listen, San Antonio is the better team, I believe, in the series. But it's not about style points. All Minnesota's trying to do is just continue to extend the series, and you never know what can happen. But I take San Antonio tonight.
San Antonio, I think they win big. They're 10.5-point favorites. Remember game 2 at home? They won huge in that game.
After losing game 1.
After losing game 1, they're coming off a loss. I think they win by 15 plus. I still think it could go 7. We'll see. I mean, Minnesota knows if they can win that 6th game, then they play for everything in game 7, but I think San Antonio.
And both teams have already won on the other, on the other team's home floor.
Yeah, really interesting. And meanwhile, Oklahoma City just waits for this series.
By the way, New York, the Knicks,
they just wait.
As Cleveland and Detroit are 2 apiece.
Yep. Next question.
Will baseball include a salary cap and a floor next season?
I think we're going to get there. I think this year we're going to get there. Or next year, I think we're going to get there. I think even if it's a not like this hard, but the rules are in place to where most of these teams are saying, yeah, we're not messing with that. I think we're going to get there. I think baseball's at a very interesting point. Your buddy that, obviously you went to school with, you mentioned in high school, now the broadcaster of the Milwaukee Brewers. I wanted to ask him, how do you guys view it from there? And it sounds like from a Milwaukee perspective, they're prepared for anything.
They were good.
But there are a lot of franchises out there that you can't compete with the way baseball is structured. I think a lot of people feel that way. And maybe the Dodgers just kind of took it to this level that, no one can fully comprehend what the hell is happening in baseball. that I think there'll be enough pressure there to get it over the top.
Yeah, I think we'll make progress. I know we'll make progress. It could take a long time. They could miss games next year. And there could be a semblance of a cap and a floor. I don't think it'll look like the other sports necessarily, where it's a hard cap.
But if it's
or
a
hard
step
floor,
towards that,
yeah, it's probably a step.
It's you're eventually getting closer and closer to
one
that.
day it'll come. One day it'll come.
Do you think it's a good or a bad sign that they've already started negotiations like 6 months early?
This was planned, I had read. This was always part of the process for this CBA. They were going to meet now. There were no proposals given out at this meeting here today.
Okay.
Because you're so far out. I mean, this doesn't have to be signed until next March.
Yeah, but but I'm with you, Brent. I think there's a little bit of like, why don't you want to start these negotiations, and why don't you want to time is on your side right now. And I think obviously anything that happens with Major League Baseball right now, that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping that you have enough time to come up with a deal, but it seems like it's all for show.
Dog and pony show. I don't think by starting in May, they're like, hey, we have a path to get this done. Ultimately, what this always comes down to. Our check's going to be canceled. Our players going to be paid. Our owner's going to lose out on making money. But this only gets resolved, I feel like, when it has to get resolved.
Yeah, I just don't know. That's the thing I don't understand. It's like the sense of urgency is never there until way later.
Yeah, way later. All right. On the other side, if you missed JD Wicker with us yesterday on San Diego Sports 760, you'll hear his thoughts on the future of the Pac-12, which San Diego State is heading to beginning this July. We'll hear from JD Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, some additional thoughts on Chucky Lozano, who again is out for SDFC, yet getting paid over $9 million. Plus, we're giving away those Rod Stewart tickets this hour as well. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, SDFC is back at Snapdragon Stadium tomorrow night when they host Austin FC. Our pre-match coverage with Darren and Adrian begins at 6 p.m. 2 games this week for SDFC. See if they just a quick 6-point week. That's all we're looking for.
Huge.
Just a quick 6-point week.
Huge.
Nobody's asking for anything else.
You can hear him right here, as Alan just told you. San Diego Sports 760 beginning tomorrow night. All right, last night. Okay, by the way, full admission, Alan said earlier that if given the chance to make a shot into the trash can with a crumpled up piece of paper, he would make 1 out of 2.
Yes, I shoot 50%.
And then I saw him thinking about shooting from his current seat, which is only like 2 feet away from the trash can, maybe more.
Go ahead.
And then he actually, to his credit, don't give you credit.
You're close.
Then he moved back for me and still made 1 out of 2.
I hit 1 and 2.
I guarantee this goes in. I guarantee.
Okay.
Stone cold moral lock, right hand, this goes in. And if it doesn't, I will buy you a drink.
A Celsius.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll buy you Celsius. You don't drink them though.
I don't, but
Brent's looking.
I'm
Watch
ready
this.
to.
This is easy.
Yep.
I missed
Airball.
No, I think I hit the underside of the rim.
You hit the bottom of the net.
That is an airball. It's an airball, right?
The bottom of the net.
I'm so embarrassed.
Well, here's why. You have this cockiness to you sometimes.
I'm like, I have no problem.
And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I respect it. But sometimes it's a little too cocky.
Well,
hit the bottom of the trash can. You know your issue is...
I'm only 6 feet away.
Yeah, you know what your issue is?
What's that?
The biggest problem you have is you just don't put enough arc on it.
I didn't put... Well, you shoot line drives, I noticed. And I like a little bit more air.
I'm trying to... But you don't... What do you mean a little bit?
I don't know.
Dude, the bottom of the trash can. Put some air under it.
The last time I played basketball, and I recognize this isn't basketball.
You don't need to do that.
It's been like a while.
You got to stop.
I'm stopping.
Nobody needs you to start talking about the last time you were at the gym and you took up shots. I want to see you warm up around the basket, just around the trash bin.
The trash bin. Okay, let's hear from JD Wicker. So he was with us yesterday from Rancho Penasquitos, Naughty Barrel. Mm-hmm. And of course, San Diego State's transitioning to the Pac-12 July 1st. That's 50 days from today. Alan asked the astute question to JD Wicker about how JD sees the future of the Pac-12 a handful of years from now.
Yeah, I think the great thing about the Pac-12 is we feel that, top to bottom, we're definitely the 5th league out there, maybe 4th, depending on the sport, maybe 3rd. And I think over the next 5 years, our grant of rights, our TV deals, the next 5 years, you've got a lot happening in the next 5 years. I think the key is to go out and be competitive, win those opportunities when they're on that national stage, and see where the chess pieces end up at the end of the Big Ten TV rights deal, the SECs, the NCAA tournament. And you may have some schools that are looking to come back west, and that's why we're staying small for the time being, 9 as opposed to 16, 18, 14, 15, whatever all these different conferences are. So we're going to go out. We're going to be as competitive as we possibly can be, invest at the highest level that we can, and, continue to see where the cards fall.
Like that answer, and opened up the possibility that we touched on briefly yesterday, that conference realignment is never over, and there could be a world in the future where you get more regional realignment, and you see programs in the West that right now aren't in the Pac-12 potentially return there one day.
Yeah, this is so critical, I think, to San Diego's future, because I think that, we all know San Diego State was always trying to knock on the door of the Pac-12, the original Pac-12, right? And there were moments where you thought maybe San Diego State's going to be a part of this. And however you want to look at it, maybe San Diego State could have thrived in basketball. Maybe they would have struggled. Maybe they'd have no shot. Whatever the case, I don't know. But I know that everyone wanted to get San Diego State into that mix. And you wanted the opportunity to be in the same conference as SC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon and go down the list. I think what JD said in that clip to me, just I got so much optimism of what can happen, because you're right. They only got 9 teams, and 8 of those are only, obviously Gonzaga is just their non-football. So you have this, like, the thing that we really need to see in the Pac-12 over these next few years. The Pac-12 has to make a case for itself. Like, every one of these schools, if it's not San Diego State that's succeeding, then damn it, I'm all in for Boise State. If it's not, if San Diego State, struggles in the tournament in the team of 76 now, then I need Gonzaga to go as far as possible. they need to showcase this is a good conference for another school out there that says to themselves, I'll just name a couple of schools. Maybe Arizona and Arizona State don't like where they are. Is there a possibility to eventually get them back? Does UCLA say we stand no chance in this Big Ten? Is, again, I'm just using these schools as an example, but they can't be a bad conference and think other teams are just going to walk in at other schools. I think you got to like kind of start picking up your resume with the teams that you have, and then hopefully others will come in 5 years when they feel like there's going to be more realignment and they just don't want to be a part of a conference that has nothing to do with the West Coast or just strategically doesn't make sense for them.
I think two things. I think from day one, it would serve the Pac-12 really well to get a college football playoff a college football playoff team in year one. So the best of the group of 6. Can that be San Diego State? That would be phenomenal. And to your point, if it's not, if it's Boise State, that's going to be good for the league. The second thing, to your point, in the men's basketball tournament specifically, can someone make a deep, real run? Elite 8, Sweet 16 or further, if it's Gonzaga, if it's San Diego State, if it's Utah State, if it's Colorado State.
And can you get 4 in?
And can you get 4 in, something like that?
Sure.
So I think that's where it starts. And then ultimately, I do believe there'll be a day also where if you're San Diego State and in the first 5 years of the Pac-12, you're in the NCAA tournament 4 or 5 times on the men's side, and maybe you make the college football playoff 1 time in those 4 or 5 years, all of a sudden, who knows what the world looks like 4 or 5 years from now when the next TV deals are up. And yeah, it would be nice to strengthen the Pac-12, but San Diego State may have its own opportunity when it comes to realignment, like they basically did 2 or 3 years ago when they were hoping to join the Cals and Stanfords and Arizonas and Arizona States in the old version of the Pac-12. That's how I look at it.
If there's a school or two that you think was in the old Pac-12 that would be most likely to say, you know what, we tried this, we did it, we had to panic, everyone had to go grab money. Is there a couple of schools that you think could?
Here's the one I would say.
Okay.
I don't see a world in which, in the current structure, where someone goes from the power structure to the non-power structure by choice. Okay. So we have to say that because there's a clear delineation, financially access and access.
1,000%.
If that didn't exist, I could see a school like the University of Utah. Because I don't think Utah has any desire to be in the Big 12. I think they really liked aligning academically and athletically with the schools in the Pac-12. I think they'd love to fancy themselves like in the Big 10 one day. But I don't think Utah sees themselves as like a school that should be playing with UCF in West Virginia in athletics.
Utah's a badass program.
But
too.
Again, at the end
Really
of the
good
day,
program.
Alan, it's about what is their TV revenue? Well, it's going to be 3-4 fold what the Pac-12 is going to get, and what is their access? It's more significant with the college football playoff and the NCAA tournament.
Was it you? I think you were saying something recently. It's like, okay, yeah, what fan out there is saying my school's making so much money?
Yeah, it's odd.
But listen, I get it. Like the financial side of things and the exposure and getting a chance. UCLA has games at the Rose Bowl now against Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Like those are power, obviously, games that you can have now in September, October, November, not just the Rose Bowl or anything like that. So I think that means something, but UCLA will never sniff anything in that conference. So it's like, what is let's just, again, it's not going to happen. Let's say UCLA was still in the Pac-12. UCLA is they got a chance to obviously dominate the conference and then actually get a chance to play in meaningful games. Will they ever come back? I don't think so, but I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be UCLA. There could be other schools that are at the bottom of these bigger conferences that say this just ain't going to work.
My guess is if I live 100 years and the Big Ten remains the Big Ten as it is right now, UCLA will not play for a Big Ten football championship. I don't think they'll be in the championship game in the next 55 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that's how I feel about it as I sit here right now. All right, we're going to turn our attention back to SDFC on the other side. Their struggles. They'll play tomorrow night. Chucky Lozano, his future, again, was discussed earlier today by Mark Ziegler of the UT with us right here on 760. Plus, we'll give away those Rod Stewart tickets between now and 6 p.m. here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's new Biggie Deals. Right now in Milwaukee, we are in the top of the 4th inning, and the Brewers are leading the Padres 1-0. In NBA news, 76er president Daryl Morey is out. Nick Nurse will stay as head coach, but 76ers have fired President Daryl Morey. And in the about 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, San Antonio leads Minnesota 26-16 in Game 5 of their second-round playoff series. Choose one of Wendy's new Biggie Deals at $4, $6, and $8. Pick one of the new Biggie Deals you're craving for a pretty Biggie deal. Got to be Wendy's. U.S. price and participation may vary.
All right, we have Rod Stewart tickets. I mean, I don't physically have them, but we're giving away Rod Stewart tickets.
Where are they?
Brent
in your car?
Brent has them. No, if they're in anyone's car, they're in the cloud. They're in your car. Why? I saw Alan pull up today with his car, and I'm like, I'm looking for, I asked him for an MP3 player. He has everything. I figured I could just ask for, are you selling headphones by chance?
By the way, what was my answer to you on the MP3 player?
You're like, I'll have it to you in 15 minutes. I got a guy.
I said, give me 15 minutes. I got someone in Kearney Mesa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alan's like those guys you see back in the day that would sell tapes out of the trunk of their car.
Yes, exactly.
I have a mixtape.
Exactly, dude. I have like the N1 mixtape.
But you get so like,
I'm amazed.
I come in with a banana and an apple, and you're like, you run a produce shop. I come in with.
You had a stand for your computer yesterday.
I had a stand
out of nowhere. It was incredible. And then he tells me, how about this, Brent? He tells me, if we need a table, I got a table. I'm like, you have a table? How do you have a table? I've never once had a table in my whole life.
I could go live from anywhere at any time.
It's incredible.
That's what I have in my car. I have for all that stuff.
All right. So Mark Ziegler was with us earlier. We'll update you on Padres Brewers coming up. Mm-hmm. But Mark Ziegler was with us earlier. And he wrote this fascinating article that denotes that Chucky Lozano, who has not played for SDFC this season, is making $9.33 million of a team that has $24.4 million in deals. He's making 9.33 of 24.4. Let's turn that around to baseball for a second, okay. Alan. If the Padres had a $200 million payroll, so 8 times, it would be 8 times 9, 72. He'd be, and plus the 0.33, he'd be making 74 of their 200 and not playing. That's the comp. And then the question becomes, can you win? And so far, the answer has been, well, no, they've struggled, obviously. Does it tie back to that?
I don't even know if that's the question. Isn't the question more of like, damn, you guys had that bad of a relationship to where it's not even a question that you can use Chucky. You know, you and we've talked about this. There have been some stories in the UT where the crowd is, chanting, listen, when you're losing,
sure,
they just want solutions.
Yep.
And Chucky's obviously a very popular player. You can't figure out a solution here. And they can't. I mean, everybody that we've talked to, or we've had a conversation with, clearly he's not coming back, and this is the situation. But yeah, how can you be successful? How would the Padres be successful if $75 million of their $200 million payroll is dead money?
And to your point, it's like, if you're the organization, I kind of get putting your foot down. What does it say about your organization? If you say, you know what, he makes a lot of money, and yeah, he's done things against our wishes, but you know what, he's the star, and he makes a lot of money. Let's welcome him back.
That's very common.
I know.
It's common in all sports. It's common in all businesses.
But we had someone on recently, I forget, that covers MLS for Apple TV. That spent 20 years playing European soccer. It's like, the second you do that, you've lost everyone else.
But I'm going to go back to this. And by the way, I'm in favor if that's what they think they should do. The only problem is, right now we're sitting and, obviously watching the SDFC and we see how much they're struggling and the comparison to last season and getting to the Western Conference Finals. And, they were a game away from getting to the MLS Cup and facing Miami. They lose to Vancouver.
Yeah.
And a lot of that momentum right now is just, it's kind of stopped. That momentum isn't there. I think there's a part of me that really, really respects the fact that the SDFC decided to do this, but you also got to make sure it works. And so far up to this point, I don't know if it has anything to do with Chucky, or I don't know if it has it's a bigger picture thing. The rest of, the West is more competitive. Teams now know the style that SDFC plays. I don't have the answer. I just want to see SDFC get into the postseason.
I want to talk about the clutch factor of Nick Castellanos, who 2 days ago, of course, ties the score with a 2-out, 2-strike homer in the bottom of the 9th inning, trailing 2-0. Padres were left for dead. He's only hitting, by the way, coming into today, even with all that, 192. And here today in a 2-out spot, albeit earlier, and the Padres trailing by a run, he got fooled on 2 back-to-back breaking pitches he swung through. Yet he still comes through with 2 strikes, with 2 in scoring position to give the Padres a lead. And the reason we have to bring it up is the team in general has not hit. But you've had these moments and players and reserves and bench. You've just had these guys coming through. Timely. And he's hitting 192. It's not like he's coming through all season long for them. But man, they have this clutch gene. And we'll see how this game turns out. But Nick Castellanos has had himself a good couple of days for the Padres, who now find themselves out in front of Milwaukee 2-1.
Yeah, wild pitch that got the runners. I think this all started with Xander beating out a double play, right? So he gets on first. Maybe a walk after that or single. I can't remember. But a wild pitch gets him to second and third, and Castellanos comes through with a single. And there is obviously a clutch factor there. That's what, the Padres need at this point. It's how can you figure out how to win a game? It might not look pretty. They might not have 10 hits. They might not beat you 10-3, but 3 2s count. 4 2s count. 2 1s count. Yeah. And until this kind of thing starts teetering the other way, because wouldn't you say this? Doesn't it feel like for the last 3 weeks, anybody that we interview has been telling us like, hey, this is going to go the other way.
Going to come back to earth.
Still hasn't. Now, it doesn't mean it won't. Yeah. But can I also make an argument? What if it doesn't? What if the Padres just keep winning games? And what if their offense gets better? And what if guys start stepping up? So I think we should just not overreact to what can happen, and let's just kind of assess what is happening.
Yeah, it's almost, I agree with you. It's like not what can go wrong, but I mean, at 24-16, again, you can't ask for more than that. I don't even care. I reference this all the time, the Fangraph stuff, whatever. And there are teams, by the way, that are outlier teams. Remember that in sports. There's teams that just have an it factor. They just have a knack. What did we hear earlier today? It was from Brian Kenny at MLB Network. It was like, there was that Padres team in 2023 that had like a malaise over them. They weren't supposed to. Their projections said they were supposed to be a lot better than they were. They didn't even make the playoffs. Maybe this is a little bit of the opposite of that. Maybe the projections will tell you they're only an average team. But if an average team wins 94 games, and I don't know if they will or not, then I'll take that average team if that's ultimately who they're going to be.
Yeah, and listen, again, that's why we want to see these games. I mean, look at it. By the way, they're showing this slumping stars right now. Cal Raleigh, Bo Bichette, Ohtani's on that list. So when I saw this, and they're showing this right now on Padres baseball, but when I saw that list a little bit earlier, don't you immediately like, hey, there's some comfort with Tatis. You're not by yourself.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Some comfort with Manny Machado. You're not by yourself.
Yes, I agree. Of course, even those players that were up there. I mean, I don't even, Cal Raleigh's been awful, but he's homered. Obviously Ohtani hasn't been good, but you're always it still is Shohei Ohtani, but he also
pitches and is phenomenal.
And it also proves the point that in baseball, this isn't basketball or football. In football, you don't say, man, this guy used to complete 70% of his passes. Now he's at 38%. Or in basketball, man, LeBron can't hit a layup this year. I mean, there's no such thing. The players are going to be the players. But in baseball, there are years where it's just tough for whatever reason, even for great Hall of Fame caliber players. Shohei Ohtani would be in that conversation. It doesn't guarantee you career year after career year.
I got 2 shots to make the bucket that I hit. Would you like a second shot?
I don't need a second shot.
Of course you need a second shot.
But I'm already 0 for 1.
Yeah, so get to 50%.
I would assume I would just make
How much closer is your shot than the shot I took? I'm like half court. Feet. You're a free throw.
Yeah, I'm like 10 feet.
No, I'm like a 3-pointer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but no, I'm good because we all know I would make it. It's like, in golf, they let you just pick it up. They're like, yeah, you're going to make that putt. You can just pick it up.
Oh, you want me to finish this off. Trust me. There's a chance I miss that putt.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. All right. So, again, we'll keep you updated on Padres and Brewers. On the other side, why don't we give away Rod Stewart tickets? We can give away Rod Stewart tickets. We're here until 6 p.m. Stay with us. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, be caller 2 right now, and you're walking away with 2 free tickets.
Let's
to
go.
see
Hurry.
Rod Stewart, June 12th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. The number to call is 877
Better dial
767-4760. That's right. Call right now. 2 free tickets. Rod Stewart here in San Diego. Call 877-767-4760 and call right now. Great giveaway. 2 free tickets. Tickets and info, by the way, at Ticketmaster.com. Call right now if you want those 2 free tickets.
Oh, those are going to go.
Oh, those are going. That's Rod Stewart.
Those are going to go.
Gone. And like that.
Look at that.
Like that. Like that. The tickets are gone.
Call line's blowing up. Relax, everybody.
Relax. Okay, so Padres Brewers series is underway. 2-1 Padres right now in the 4th. Nick Castellanos the clutch 2-run single.
A little bit of traffic right now for our boy Waldron.
And again, they went with the opener. Now remember, the opener really worked well for Waldron his last time out.
Yep.
I think 5 scoreless innings. Do I have that right?
I think, yeah.
Today's allowed a solo home run. To your point, he's run into some traffic in the 4th inning.
Got to get out of the 4th here.
Got to get out of the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
A Brewers team that when we had Josh Maurer on earlier, he told us coming off a sweep of the New York Yankees, winners of 4 straight, 13-7 at home. I've been very good at home. So a good test for the Padres. And again, they should feel good. The Padres should, based on what they did this weekend against St. Louis, finding a way to split that series. And now can they win a road series against Milwaukee? Arguably.
He's not going.
No,
he's not going.
Bases are loaded for Milwaukee in the 4th inning.
Okay, real quick. So let's go back
to
to the calendar here real quick. Okay.
Love a good calendar.
I know you're a calendar guy. By the way, should we talk about what happened during the break or we leave that alone? I'm comfortable with whatever you want.
Draining the shot in the trash bin.
Yeah, and you didn't look. And
I looked.
Yeah.
I got a lucky bounce.
I'm down with whatever story you want to tell. So which story would you like to tell?
The story I say is I hit 6 straight. I'm 1 of 3.
You're 1 of 3 at the moment. Yeah, you're 1 of 3. Your second shot was a lot worse than the first shot.
It wasn't good.
All right. We got 3 against Milwaukee, 3 against Seattle, 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the A's, the next 12.
Yeah.
You signing up for 6 and 6?
Really good question. Yeah, probably. Why not?
6
There's
and
still
6?
8 games over 500. I'm trying to play out
don't you
string.
Don't you kind of, I mean, isn't there a part of you that is, and listen, maybe if you looked at the Padres record right now, was it 24-16 is what we said?
Yeah.
Most people, if I said like they're 8 games over 500, why would you take a 500 stretch over 12 games? I'm with you. I'm taking 6 and 6.
You're taking it. It's exactly.
I'm taking 6
You're
and 6.
passing the baton, basically. Like, here's the thing. In a long baseball season, when you get off to a start like this is just like last year. There was nothing really wrong with how they got in. You know what I mean? They got in based on the strength of their start, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the problem with how they got in, the problem was more than anything else is you could justify it up until the trade deadline. But once they went all in the trade deadline, that should have had, oh, Jesus.
What is this? All right, Milwaukee's taking a 3-2 lead, I think.
Yeah,
they have. What were we saying?
That should have, it's so annoying. That should have the start that they had. Once you got to the trade deadline and you go all in, you can't just play 500 baseball from there.
Yeah,
you got to the trade deadline and all of a sudden it was, the expectations changed.
Dude, do you remember how optimistic we were?
Oh, big time.
I like the moment you trade for Mason Miller. And by the way, the pieces they also added, like Ramon Laureano, who played very well
Ryan
in the
O'Hearn.
second half last year. Ryan O'Hearn was
Jason Adam.
Significant
Did
addition.
Adam come?
No, Adam was already here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But
wait, who they have? Wait. Who did they?
Adam they got the year before, right?
Oh, yeah.
From Tampa at the deadline. I
think
yeah,
you're right. Yep.
But I mean, there's always optimism. It's the days where it's like a big move on paper where I always get excited. It's like, oh man, this big signing or this big trade deadline. But you really have to see it with your own 2 eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm heading into the year. I'm excited about Jackson Merrill and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. But you need to see it. You need to see what it's going to look like this time around. And that's the thing with baseball. So listen, if they get to the trade deadline and they're anything like this, even just 8 or 10 games over 500, I'm gonna be excited. If they make additions again, like I'll go down that path again.
Well, I think the question with them, it's not even will they make additions. It's
they'll make.
What will they do?
Yeah,
and how deep will they go in whatever type of all-in offer that they go in?
Completely agree. Let's switch gears for a second to the NBA playoffs, where Game 5 is underway right now between the Spurs and the T-Wolves. It's it's a good start for San Antonio. They lead through one quarter, 34-30 right now. So the Spurs are leading the T-Wolves right now, 34-30. This critical game 5, I don't have the math on it, but I would assume game 5 winners in a 2-2 series are
it's got to be
winning
like
a lot.
75% of the time, 80% of the time.
Gotta be.
Something like that.
So a massive, massive game tonight. I still go back to what we said the other day. I thought Wemby really could have hurt his. I mean, he could cost his team to the offseason potentially by getting thrown out of game 4, but we'll see if they bounce back tonight and win the series or not.
I think they'll win.
I think so.
I will say this, and I don't know how you feel about it because, look, I think Minnesota is a good series against Oklahoma City. I think it'll be fun, but doesn't everybody want to see the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs?
And the Spurs were awesome against the Thunder in the regular season, weren't they?
Yeah, I feel like everybody wants to see.
Ew. No, I agree with you.
I feel like everybody wants to see Victor Wembanyama get to the Western Conference Finals, go up against Shea. Is this going to be kind of the rivalry here over there? Are we going to be watching for the first time this rivalry between two organizations that they're not the big market teams, but they're ran really well? Did you know that, my bad, did you know that Sam Presti comes from the San Antonio Spurs organization?
I didn't know that.
Sam Presti comes through the whole, I guess he was there too, part of the front office when it was Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. So like that I think is a really cool story. And I don't think you have to have, I think for the NBA, this is important. Can you have two markets that are not these premier markets and still get massive ratings? Do you think Spurs and Thunder would draw?
Great question. I mean, listen,
Maybe
I liked
they draw because of Wemby.
I liked Indiana OKC. It did not do numbers. I mean, it did that 7th game, and that was the NBA Finals. But I'm with you. Wemby's different than Halliburton.
I was going to say, I think the difference is Wemby.
Yeah, of course. What do you got, Brent? The winners of Game 5.
Yep. In NBA playoff history, the winner of Game 5 in a best of 7 series that's tied at 2 games apiece has gone on to win the series. You want to guess?
81.
82% of the time.
82. Damn. Wow. Okay, so a lot. By the way, Wemby in 10 minutes tonight has 18 points and 7 rebounds. In 10 minutes tonight.
So he's well rested.
Wait, what'd you say the score was? 34-30.
Now
right?
43-30. They scored the last 9. They've outscored Minnesota in the second quarter 9-0. So they lead right now 43-30. I'm with you. Do you think if we get Spurs Thunder, we get like a 7-game series, or would you give the Spurs like a 49% chance of winning that series?
I say Spurs got a 45% shot of winning the series, really depending on Jalen Williams.
Yeah, good point.
Because if Jalen Williams is not back and he's not Jalen Williams, I think he kind of goes San Antonio might have a 51-49. Like it might go that. I mean, Jalen Williams is a key player.
And I thought
Waldron, get out of the damn inning, please.
Yeah, it's now 4-2 Brewers. I thought Shea said something interesting after the sweep the other night on TV. I don't know if you heard what he said, because you were on doing a broadcast. He said, honestly, I got to figure out a way to shake the rust better, because that's not really for me.
Oh,
when I sat for 7 or 8 days, I kind of had to like feel my way into this series. I'm going to sit again, and there's only so much you can recreate when you sit that long.
Well, I think the piece that he left out is the Lakers decided anybody but Shea.
Yeah.
And I think that, listen, Marcus Smart is one of the smartest vets in the NBA.
No pun intended.
And has made his money on the defensive side of the ball. Like Marcus Smart knows how to make living hell for another player, even at, his age, 32, whatever, coming off some of his injuries. So I think with all that being said, I don't think that was just Shea with rust. I think that was the Lakers also saying,
I think it's fair.
We want anybody else to beat us. And then AJ Mitchell and Chet and all these other guys said, okay, we got you. We'll step up and do that.
Just real quick, the season series.
It was 3-2, I think.
Was it 3-2?
Yeah, because I think they played a game in the tournament, the semis in season.
It was 4-1 San Antonio. The only OKC had a win January 13th, but San Antonio won 4 times.
Falling apart, brother.
Oy vey.
Falling.
Well, it's early,
apart.
Alan. With this offense, you never know. It's early. It's 6-2 Brewers.
Waldron,
with this Padres offense, you never know. I thought the whole theory with Waldron was if you use the opener.
5 spot in the 4th so far.
It worked out well.
They're not even doing it. They're just going with the ball. I mean, just kind of slapping the ball over the place, finding some holes.
Good pieces of hitting, truthfully. Well, listen, it's only one game out.
That's a frustrating
This
one.
Isn't game.
I told you, I'm not good with this.
No,
That's
you're
what
not.
happens
You're
with
not.
me.
But would you say the season is over? I wouldn't say fully over. No, it's 6-2 Brewers to the fourth inning. You never know. It's early.
Yeah, I mean, Padres have had comebacks, but that's still very frustrating.
5 4-run comebacks or larger this year.
Yeah.
See if they can make it 6. All right, Kevin Ace here, Padres Insider, back with us tomorrow to recap this game and look ahead as well. We'll be with you from 3 to 6 tomorrow afternoon as well. Getting you ready for SDFC soccer tomorrow night.
That's right.
On 760. All right, if you missed anything, sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app. For Brent and Alan, I'm John. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We've been live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace.